What's up, everybody? I'm getting deja vu up in here because the Philadelphia Fusion just replicated the same results from the Stage 2 playoffs and took out the London Spitfire in a match that went the distance 3-2. And what more can I say? The Philadelphia Fusion, it just looks like they have the London Spitfire's number up until this point. I'm enjoying this rivalry between those two teams. But up next, we have the Houston Outlaws going up against the NYXL. Now, both of these teams are in danger of going 0-2 on the week, which you definitely don't want that to happen at this stage in the game because, as we all know, every map matters. So both of these teams are going to be coming. They're going to be firing for that W. And historically, it's actually been NYXL that's gotten the better of Houston in this series. In fact, the Outlaws have only taken one map away from NYXL through the course of the regular season, if I'm not mistaken. So this is going to be a good one. Houston's going to be trying to flip that. So where are my Houston Outlaws fans at? You out here? Oh yeah, we are getting crunk out here on Twitch Day. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the action with our boys at the desk. Pucky, take it away, man.
Thank you so much, Malik. Yes, it's time to get fired up because we got New York XL back in the building. We have the Houston Outlaws, and you've got our great analysts to bring you the action. We got Brent, we've got Crumbs breaking down all of the games today. And we got to start this conversation off with the overall standings because if you're the Houston Outlaws, this is a massive matchup for you. Boston was able to take down the New York XL, and Houston, they could do the same today if they're able to get to a Game 5. If they get this win, they stay in the running because right now, they're in that 7th spot. If we were doing the league's playoffs, the overall league playoffs at the end of the year tomorrow, Houston would not be competing.
Yeah, they desperately need some wins to really boop up their standings a little bit, try and at least secure a top 6 spot towards the end of stage.
However, they are against an opponent who's only suffered 3 losses in 3 stages. And it was last Thursday when it happened, so I'm not too sure it's going to be able to happen again. It seems like once every blue moon, New York loses.
And Brent, let's start here with New York XL because they are coming off that Game 5 loss to Boston. Yes, it's just their 3rd loss of the season, but they showed us they were mortal.
Yes, absolutely. Boston really sort of opened up a weakness that we didn't really know was there from New York, and it was all off the back of Striker really shutting down Sabiobi, and he was doing it all by himself, essentially forcing out the recalls, and with Sabiobi not being able to do much in these games, he really opened up for the rest of his team to play this slow, sort of passive Widowmaker sort of style that they like to do. However, it's going to be very hard for Houston to try and shut down Sabiobi because, once again, this is a guy who has been rated as one of the best Tracer players in the league by analysts that I'm not going to name because it's quite embarrassing. Reinforce, yeah, we did it anyway. But he is a fantastic player, and I mean, if Houston want to win today, I feel like that is what they need to focus on, but it's going to be super tough given that they have had some weaknesses with the Tracer gameplay themselves.
Crumbs, do you think that Sabiobi is still the best Tracer or one of the best Tracers in the league? Where do you rank him right now?
Oh, absolutely. He is still one of the best Tracers. He could easily be the best Tracer. However, I think that the competition has leveled up. They have more footage to see what Sabiobi is doing. So it's a lot harder for people to stay at the top. That's why we celebrate these guys so much because everybody else has a lot more information to catch up.
So let's talk about this Houston squad. You see their stage 3. It's the 0-4 loss to Boston. They go to the Game 5 versus Philadelphia, but they started the stage off the right way with the Game 5 win over London. Can they take New York the distance today? What are you expecting from this squad?
Well, out of Houston right now, they're starting with back vision, and I'm expecting them to be a little bit more aggressive than we've seen this team before. So they're changing up the style, or at least adding new elements to their strategy. However, as Bren mentioned, you're gonna need to address the Tracer at some point. And whether it's a Junkrat or it's Linkster or Jake's Tracer, it's gonna have to be a problem that will be solved. And is he gonna be up to the level of dealing with Sabiobi? We don't know just yet, so maybe after the first map we'll be able to tell what's going on.
Houston's coming off back-to-back losses. They can't afford any more. Can they get the win today? We're about to find out. Make some noise, Blizzard Arena. It's time to meet your teams, starting with the squad from the Big Apple. Give it up for the New York XL. There's the man, Sabiobi, leading the charge. He is one of the best Tracers in the league, but in their last matchup, he was met by Striker. Will the Outlaws be able to shut down him today? It's not going to be easy with all the support you got from the rest of this team.
Yeah, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head there, Puckett. This is a star-studded lineup. They, across the board, every single player here, and this is probably my favorite aspect of New York Excelsior, is the fact that they don't underestimate opponents, right? They always run out the A squad realistically, no matter what, and they bring it their all to their opponents. They do not underestimate them in the slightest, and I honestly feel like this brings the best out of their opponents when they play them. We only see the best Overwatch when New York Excelsior are playing.
And Janus is back in. What does this mean for the lineup, Crumbs? What playstyle are they gunning for?
Well, Janus is a little bit more passive, so I think that they're going to be focusing a lot more around Libero this time around. We're going to Volskaya, where his Widowmaker really gets to shine alongside Jonak, so the lines of sight are very valuable, and Sabiobi is probably a little bit easier to keep in check. However, again, Libero, his Widowmaker is insane. Him against Linkser is a matchup that you have to keep your eyes on.
We were talking about Overwatch League fantasy teams off the desk, and we said if you could only pick one player from each team, who would you grab? I said Arc. I think he's the best support player in the game right now. Keep your eyes on the Mercy. He's your main support player. He's the gel of this team. That is your starting six for the New York Excelsior. It's time to find out who's the starting six on the other side of the stage. Please welcome the Houston Outlaws. Linkster showing the fans some love, and you saw Fact Fiction is back in the mix, as you mentioned, Crumbs. This is a tank we've seen play for Team USA. He only played one map, though, in their most recent match. What should the fans expect today?
I think the fans actually can have really high expectations here because he gelled quite well with the team. I think that's why the pickup happened. They played before. There's pre-existing synergy. These guys get along well, and so it's just an easy plug in play.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Crumbs. I feel like on Volskaya, this first map is going to be very important to Houston Outlaws potentially taking a win here today. And they're making all the right movements already. With the addition of Fact Fiction, they can play a lot more aggressive. I feel like they want to start to try and punish the passive play style that New York like to play and go for when they have Janus in the lineup. So excellently read by Houston already. And I gotta say, I got high hopes for this team because once again, they do their research. They do not underestimate their opponents. Obviously, you don't want to underestimate New York Excelsior at all because they are the #1 seed. But this is a team that are going to be practicing for what they're up against with their opponents when it comes to that strong tracer play, when it comes to the coordinated dive.
I like the Raucous Genji cosplay, getting ready to play the ninja here in this battle. As you take a look at the starting six for the Houston Outlaws, keep your eyes on Cool Matt in their matchup against the London Spitfire, the one they won here in Stage 3. Cool Matt walked away with our Player of the Match honors. The stage is set. Our players are ready to go. Make some noise, Blizzard Arena. Right now, come on, you can be louder than that. It's Saturday, we're closing out with some big games, and it starts right now, bringing you the action. It's Uber and Mr. X.
Thank you very much. Matt, stayed up too late last night watching cat videos, you know, as you do. But I woke up in the morning kind of dreary, tired, but then I realized I had this match, and I was like, let's go.
Yeah,
what
be a good one.
face-off. It's been a tough road for both of these two teams. I mean, New York, they kind of only lose one match per stage, and they may have already gotten that out of the way. But, I mean, for the Outlaws, they come off the back of a 5-map, you know, ordeal up against the Fusion.
And I feel like it's going to be a tough one for the Outlaws because NYXL comes off of that loss. You know they're going to be pretty angry, you know, losing that series to Boston. They're going to come out today, and they're probably going to look really clean in what they try and do. First map will be Volskaya. Blizzard World, anything can happen, right? You know, unfortunately for the Outlaws, you don't have a Junker Town in this.
Right.
That would have been great to see at
Definitely
the
their
end.
draw card.
But still a series I think will be very close. You know, what Boston did well against New York is just isolate Jonak. They were able to just dive on him and take him out so early in these fights. I think you look at some of the supports in this matchup, some of the best we have in the Overwatch League. You know, Bonnie and Arc, two of the best Mercy players we have. You know, really, you know, at the top of, you know, least deaths per 10 minutes.
Well, your Arc is literally the top in the categories of Lucio and Mercy in terms of deaths per 10 minutes. So very much the survivalist, and Bunny is also very much up there himself.
So the top is good in that category. It's
And
kind
when-
of weird to say deaths, but top, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And when, of course, you have a player like Ark who's spending a lot of time pocketing Joan Arc or enabling Joan Arc, and if he's staying alive as much as he is, that's very good for NYXL's backline in general. Harder to dive, more durable, more evasive, and the Outlaws need to try and rectify that. But they've got Fact Fiction here as well, bring a bit more of that aggression into the dive.
Yeah, I also think you're going to see Fact Fiction play a little bit more with Cool Matt. You know, what Cool Matt and Muma do really well together is that they're able to play so alone and able to stay alive. I think it just adds a little different dynamic with Fact Fiction. He's probably going to play a little bit more around Cool Matt. They're going to play a little bit more together.
Sabiobi having a poke and prod for the time being. Jake's Tracer is definitely going to be stretched up against an all-star like this man. Obviously previous World Cup representative for South Korea, but Houston have 4 World Cup representatives for the United States of America on their team. Star-studded matchup, the kind you dream about. There it is, look at the drop in. They come straight over that main building. And, well, Fact Fiction, straight on top of Libero.
And I think Jake in this matchup against Sabiobi doesn't necessarily need to fight these one-on-ones and kill him all the time. Just get him weak so he can't just dart to the backline and do whatever he wants. There you saw a good example. Jake got Sabiobi weak. He had to go away, use his blinks. What did Jake do? Then he went in with his tanks and jumped right on top of Jonak. And then he went back and he's actually able to win that one-on-one. Libero will take out Linkster. This will get rezzed up though, so not really a big kill there. Although Bonnie's res will be on cooldown now.
Which means that Linkster doesn't want to try his luck a little bit too much, but hey, he is alive. That's the main thing. Takes to the skies. Bubble thrown down by Fact Fiction. See, that's a one-way bubble for the Houston Outlaws, and Jake finds Arc, actually gets into the backline. The most surviving backline in the Overwatch League. Doesn't last too long here under the combined scrutiny of the Houston Outlaws. And this is a very good look. Not giving New York the early picks, or at least rezzing that early pick if it happens, and then hitting that backline very, very hard.
It's a great start for Jake here, and I think if you're a Houston Outlaws fan, it's really something you want.
4 final blows,
here.
0 deaths, 6 eliminations.
Yeah, I mean, doing a very nice job on Tracer. You saw the other day after the match, he seemed like he put out some tweets. He was really down on himself with his performance. And I think what Houston really likes about Jake, I think what a lot of the players like about Jake that play with him is, very determined to be one of the best players in the league. So something you expected him to come back, going to fight through that tough performance with a good one.
Cat's well and truly out of the bag here. The Outlaws are keenly aware of what NYXL are trying to do in terms of this rotation. The only risk is that Raucus is up on the causeway, or he's actually on the low ground now, so he's probably the closest player on the Outlaws to the NYXL. But we're going to hear a Valkyrie getting popped here. That's Bunny using his. Arc is also going to reciprocate now, and Raucus, pretty safe positioning, even though he's sort of playing on his own a lot of the time. Jake, though, gets turned into a pancake.
The Transcendence that comes out here from Raucus as they do res Jake back up, so you're at full strength here for Houston. It's a fight that Houston should win, Mitch. Only 2 members alive here for NYXL. So Jonak and Meko are pushed so far back out, but Jonak and Meko doing some work right now. If they're able to stay up, you're going to have Janice coming off respawns. NYXL may be able to turn this in their favor. It'd be insane if they do.
You definitely get a feeling that the Outlaws kind of took their feet off the gas midway through the fight, but Lynx is still alive. And mid to late fight, this Widowmaker becomes so much nastier. Because the attacking team aren't really aware of the rotations you can make as Widow, you can get around them and break sightlines quite comfortably. Arc now in a little bit of trouble here. Lynx are trying to break him down with the Widow's Kiss in full auto mode. A big hit there on a Sabiobi. Make him think twice about moving forward, but the Outlaws kind of getting cut quite thin here. It's strange, man. They start the fight by losing a couple kills. They turn back and get 3. And then all of a sudden, the NYXL can take control again, but Lynx is still getting picks despite this.
Yeah, but I don't think they can actually get to the point. Maybe Jake can get a touch here,
They
but
moved off.
They lost Fact Fiction, which they were going to go and try and get a res onto him, but it's just a little bit too slow. They're going to lose Raucus as well. Jake will get a touch. NYXL gets off the point here, but should be able to get right back on. Jake will throw a pulse bomb. Doesn't connect with anything. So
That's really nice,
the
man.
point now will finally go over to NYXL. But Houston did a good job there on that first defense, right? Went all the way down to the wire. Linkster will play Genji here at point number 2. Libero is going to stay on the Widowmaker for now.
NYXL kind of disengage off the point, almost bait this aggression out of the Houston Outlaws, who were coming in 1s and 2s and didn't have a full 6-man roster to throw at them. Linkster, though, gets into the backline here. You can see NYXL's being tested in that sense quite heavily in this game. Jake was hoping to try and follow up with Linkster and, again, locate some supports or damage dealers in the backline, but he went down. Jonak brought back to life, and Barney's gone down to the self-destruct. This is where things get a little bit dangerous. Sabiobi there, Raucus dropped down for some reason to challenge, perhaps, and now he's dead. Jake at least gets a responding kill and removes the Tracer, but the Outlaws were without both supports for a brief window.
Yeah, you did have a 2v1 there, so that's why Raucus gets down, but it's going to be Meko who picks up 3. Gets onto the point here with Janice. The Valkyrie that comes in for Bonnie, so you're going to have a ton of healing here for the Houston Outlaws. Jonak does have Transcendence. He's going to jump right back on, and there's going to be the Transcendence. They lose Janice as well. Maybe you can get a res out of this, though.
Yeah, it looks like Arc's trying to do that. Yes, he gets Janice back up just before he was booped away there by Coolmat, trying to interrupt the channel on the Resurrect. Lynx's Dragon Blade here, he's just kind of lashing out at whoever is close enough, but he was being healed most of the time. However, the Transcendence isn't enough to keep him alive. Perhaps he's strayed too far away. But Meko has to wrap back around. The Trans gave Houston good positioning in the choke and allowed them to push back the NYXL.
And here's an interesting switch from NYXL. Libero will play McCree. Usually when we see McCree from this team, it's usually Sabiel B or whether it's Pine who plays McCree. Libero does play 76 a lot. I cannot recall really seeing him play McCree, so we'll get a look at this. McCree kind of seems to be the answer now for a lot of teams, right? If the Widow doesn't work, you can just pocket the McCree the same way you would the Widowmaker, put some shots down at range.
If your peel is good, that's the trick. See, this happens sometimes. Dealing with a Tracer and a Genji coming from different directions is quite a complex process for a McCree who generally lacks mobility. Need to save that dash, or the roll, should I say, for a rainy day. Libero's brought back to life, and actually now he's got a bit of space to work because he was rezzed in the front door. Sabiobi continues to create that by getting aggressive, pressuring the backline. Banny was discarded, Sabiobi finishes off the job. Pressured down by Linkster. You did see the Genji try and chase into him, but Sabiobi's healed up yet again, and that self-destruct amounts to very little, and now New York are on the point to capture.
Yeah, it'll be one tick for NYXL. Jake goes and touches the point. Now everybody for NYXL goes and turns. Yep, they're going to deal with Jake. Now you don't have this Tracer to come in and stall. Somebody from Houston has to touch. It'll be Cool Matt, then Fact Fiction comes in. It's going to be Transcendence used here for Houston, and it's going to be Valkyrie.
Linkster wants to get a piece of this Transcendence right now, but he doesn't even get there. He's actually body blocked away from the Trans, and then he's taken down by Jonak from downrange. Beautiful stuff. Libero is being forced around by Cool Matt, but the D.Va can't commit to removing the McCree because there's 3 other players that need attention. Jake is down, Dragon Blade here, but it's through a Transcendence, and Libero takes it down immediately. 2 for Libero to finish it off. A little bit of confusion there, discussion perhaps occurring. Maybe something's broken. Regardless, the NYXL do manage to push in with about 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock.
It's pretty decent defense though from the Houston Outlaws. I mean, I know not a tremendous amount of time here for NYXL. Attack if we go into extra rounds, so to speak. But we do have a Libero replay here. See how he actually took care of this Linkster Dragon Blade, because he lands a headshot here on a Linkster, and then he gets Bonnie as well, I believe is. Comes in. Oh, that is filthy.
In all honesty, Linkster was dead to rights in most senses anyway. He charged headfirst into a Transcendence.
He was pretty weak as well.
Very little choice but to try and go for some sort of stalling play, and that's the man on your screen, of course. Libero, who we've seen play a plethora of different heroes.
He plays everything.
And honestly, done it very, very well. His Widowmaker has impressed us a lot of the time. It's rare that we actually see Sabiel be forced to, or opting to take that role now that Libero can do it. Like, there are a couple players on NYXL in the DPS sense, obviously Pine being one of them, that are considered specialists or players that sort of play a little bit more of those niche picks. Libero, though, kind of combines, you know, a Sabiel and a Pine in that sense. Add the extra things in, like a Farah, like a Sombra.
It's probably their best Genji player, so obviously.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Pine played a little bit of Genji before. But see, Pine was a flex player. On his time on LW Red, I think he was playing like Sombra and flex support, like Zenyatta and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, well, it is. But, you know, that's life. Sometimes instead of making a table, you don't have enough and you have to make coasters. It's not as nice.
And, I think there's a large difference between a table and a coaster in terms of how
there is. In terms of how much value? Yeah, exactly.
And values. It's Houston. Not a surprise on offense. This is kind of like the standard here on Volskaya. You want Widowmaker being able to get those first picks. It'll be the same thing that NYXL plays on defense.
That is definitely the matchup to watch. I also want to draw everyone's attention to the D.Va matchup here as well. Cool Matt obviously has a lot of experience playing with Fact Fiction, but for the most of the Overwatch League, he's been playing with Movement. So I want to see how those two work in tandem. But again, the first Widow pick will open up the fight and will dictate the course of the following engagement. You can see that Linkster and Libero already have some idea of where each other are. Janus not necessarily chasing anything there, just in position to be a pincer for Meko on the right side.
Janus and Sabiel B, though, are in a position to pinch right on top of Linkster, though. Janus jumps on top of him, and Linkster tries to grapple away. Sabiel B is there to finish this off. And
Bunny pocket.
They're going to get right on top of him, but they do take Janus out, though.
No, great response from Bunny, goes straight to Linkster. Know that that's the one play that NYXL are looking to get rid of. Gives him the healing, but Linkster now is taking shot after shot, 3 in quick succession. Libero didn't have to hit headshots on the first 2, does finish off on the third, and then taking down Fact Fiction as well. Linkster's going to need space to try and navigate that duel with Libero, and if he's going to get jumped upon by Janus, Meko, Sabiel, it's going to make his life a lot harder.
Yeah, Jonak as well, who's contributing a lot to this fight. Obviously, we're going to see it. Libero's POV. Pocketed up there, has both of his supports inside by that Mega Health Pack, but just look at Jonak already at Transcendence, yeah, Rock is sitting at 60% right now. Just a lot of damage being put down by Jonak.
We need a big brain Jake play in this particular fight. Even if it takes attention away from Linksa. Look at Linksa's health bar at the top. You see he was almost dead. So we're using the Infrasight now. This is actually also to help Jake because he knows he's going to pulse bomb. He needs to find a key target here very quickly. Meko, not a terrible one, but he's going to be pocketed up the entire time. So the pulse bomb now actually doesn't mean anything really. Chunks him down. Yes, it applies pressure. But that's it. And Linksa still hasn't found that all-important first pick on Libero.
Yeah, they want to get Meko demeched because he's just sitting in by the Mega Health Pack room with Defense Matrix and just, you know, obviously the big mech of D.Va, just shielding for Jonak and Libero, just allowing them to put free damage down on the point. So that's the idea. You know, Pulse Bomb Meko, get him weak, maybe you get a demech there. Janus gets caught out again. He's going to use Primal Rage to stay alive.
Nicely done, Jake charges straight for Libero. Then there was damage done on top of that by Raucus, which really assisted with the kill. It looked like a very fast one clip. But Libero's been brought back to life. Arc is down. He went for the Resurrect on his Widowmaker and he pays for it with his life. Jake now jumps on the newly resurrected Libero to remove him. This is the kind of cadence that the Outlaws want to go for in this particular fight. Force resurrects, punish the Mercy. Now control space on the point. And they've done all of the above. It's perfect. Cool Matt and Jake will move up here. Jonak is out of position. He can't contribute. And Janus, he's dead to rights.
Yeah, and they get Meko before he can demech, so you're not going to have any of that D.Va stall. As Houston will be able to take point A. They're going to get a Valkyrie going into the next fight. You have Primal Rage to stay alive here on the point. Jake with the Pulse Bomb as well. No support ult here for NYXL. And they make a switch. Libero will play Genji here. This is a really good opportunity for Houston to snowball this. I mean, you could use Primal Rage to charge up both of your support ults. If you need it, use them both on the point. NYXL is not going to get close. I think you see Libero switch to Junkrat just because now you know there's probably both support ults on the other side. Being able to get a free, like, one-shot kill with the Junkrat would be huge.
Jake just throws
into
his Pulse Bomb into the Matrix. No good there. Meko's going to eat it up. See, snowballs, Matt, they kind of need an incline to get out of control. That's how gravity works. But now high ground, Jake's managed to find that. That's it. Meko gets slapped as he drops onto the point. Saviobi's being healed. Forced to recall now. But Linksa holding position. Had a good idea of where Saviobi would appear. And this is excellent for the Outlaws. They're way ahead in terms of time. The NYXL desperately throw themselves in. Had to be a quick bubble there from Janus to keep himself alive. But that gets blown up almost immediately by the self-destruct. And guess who's got a bit of time with Libero in the back? It's Linksa. Libero looks like he's used his ice block there, and yes, he stayed alive for the time being, and there's a lot of visual effects because double transcendence is fun to watch.
There's going to be a blade after this, though. Linksa steal this one away, takes out Arc. Players get off the point there for NYXL. It's a beautiful attack there from the Houston Outlaws. They realized they had a huge advantage in terms of ultimates, and they played them perfectly.
Really good turnaround. Let's have a look at a bit of Linksa action here as well, scoring a 2K to help secure things.
Genji play towards the end. Nice dash, gets the reset. That's a pretty easy kill for the Genji to pick up there in that close quarters area.
And he goes on to get another one there, I'm pretty sure, with that melee attack. Linksa looking good. Statistically speaking as well, Jake's had a very, very good game on Tracer. It's so funny, you know, without throwing back to the stage 2 conversation around the Tracer player and the Outlaws, ever since then, the players have said, like Raucus recently in an interview said, I think we're fine. We've got our Tracer players can compete on the same level. Right now, Jake is outperforming Saviobi, statistically speaking, based on not only his own positioning, but the backup of his team. Very good sign. That speaks to development here in the Outlaws.
So, is Jake going to develop into striker or like Carpe overnight? No.
He may never be that player.
But is he good enough to get the job done?
Yes.
On most occasions, yeah.
Well, yes, but he may never be that player as well. I mean, Jake's a very cerebral individual.
Well, here's the one beauty about playing Tracer. Is you can play it in so many different ways. It's a hero that probably, you know, it just variants of play style. There's so many different ways you can play a Tracer. I mean, he could just play a super defensive Tracer, right? And just keep pestering the other team's Tracer, keep them off their backline, play it as like a peeler, and let Coolman go in and pick up all those kills in the back.
It's the hero that allows a player's play style to manifest in the most sort of visceral manner, if that makes sense. It's very clear to see a play style from how Tracer works. She's got so many forks in the road when it comes to decision making, I think, which is great, which in my opinion is what also defines a high skill cap hero. You may disagree, but Jonak here, again, always standing behind Meko. It's pretty nasty damage that he can put out here, and the Outlaws are mostly staying indoors for the time being. Here's the dive, though. Libero not really being touched. Here's a big chance for Libero to do damage if the Outlaws aren't aware of his position. They've dived, which means their front line is obviously abandoned their back line, and Banny's down. This is what I'm talking about. Libero now has room to breathe. Fact Fiction can't dive at him because he's half HP. If he takes a headshot, he's in deep trouble. Libero gets out, takes a glancing hit from Linksa. 11 HP. thinks he's done for the day.
Raucus may have just saved the point here for them, though. He wins a one-on-one against SabeLB, stays alive, then he heals up the rest of the members as Zenyatta here. If he puts down a little bit more damage, he'll be close to a Transcendence. You're going to have Jake get a pulse bomb this next fight as well. But that kill from Raucus forces NYXL to back up, and then it allows the rest of the members for the Outlaws to get back to the point. It's a huge kill.
7 seconds remain. One more fight. They've already lost Libero. It's going to have to be a resurrect coming out here from Arc.
They got to touch point.
There's been no capitalization on that one, but it is an infrasight being used. That's going to help the Excelsior now as they approach. Fat Fission's in a 1v2 right now, and the Transcendence is thrown at the point. Double trans, in fact. Both Zenyatta's going for that ultimate ability now. Coolmat takes a big hit from a pulse bomb, but he's inside the trans, so he's going to heal that up pretty quickly. SabeLB dies again to Raucus. That's huge. 2 in a row from him. Massive. Banner gets across the point, trying to heal up Coolmat, and now it's going to be Mecha going for the self-destruct, but it's going to be easy to LOS this one, i.e. break line of sight and avoid the explosion. Libero down again. This time there probably won't be a resurrect for him because Arc is missing. And the Valkyrie over Jonak, he's got no time to get back, and that's it. Gotta be happy about that one for the Outlaws. Preventing NYXL from taking that first point. So let's have a look at Raucus, man. That was an incredible round from him.
He even finishes that last fight. You know, he opens it up with a kill. So you can see he gets really weak here. I was watching on the minimap. I was like, oh, this is a kill. This takes out SabeLB. Look, I mean, he's able to heal the rest of the members there. If he dies there, NYXL, they're able to just have SabeLB dart back. He'll get healed up, and they're going to go in. It was only Linkser, Jake, in fact, Fiction alive. They were all really weak at that point. It's a game-saving kill potentially there from Raucus.
Raucus out there looking like a celebrity dentist, hitting with the same kind of precision. So
I would assume some of the Outlaws guys are pretty sick. You saw Jake with the mask out as well.
Yeah, look, there's been a bit of flu going around. I mean, you saw Arc actually dipped out of the NYXL's previous series.
Last time.
Oh, it was Fledder, that's right, yeah. You're not Arc, sorry. So, yeah, it's going around. Man, it hasn't reached us yet. We had one nasty wave of the flu that kind of affected a lot of the Overwatch League because we're all here in sort of one location. And
yeah, we are here in one location.
Everyone's playing patty cake and, you know, scissors, paper, rock with each other all the time.
I don't even want to say I did. Oh, well, I don't want to jinx myself. I'm drinking vitamin C.
Okay.
So, I'm not even going to jinx myself.
Yeah, get yourself some vitamins, boys. Get outside, get the vitamin D.
Jake potentially could play Hanzo here, right? But I think it's more of a Sonic arrow to make sure New York isn't playing that like up top close defense. Just gonna jump down on top of them. Yep, there's the Sonic arrow. Now it's gonna be the switch to Tracer. So a lot of teams sometimes in this situation they'll play close up on that little hut right above the offensive mega health pack.
Oh, there it is.
Oh wow.
It's all downhill from here. Libero does get resurrected, so can't really act on this. Now, SabeLB also was hoping to try and jump on Linkser, but Linkser has identified him. That's a glancing hit, but it still forces a recall! Okay, that's what we're talking about. Linkser predicts that one beautifully. What a way to inject some octane into this particular fight. Not that we really needed it, but Libero's the next to fall. That's 2 for Linkser, and he'll be looking for more. Up in the air goes Mecco, desuited. Jake down to Jonak, but Bronak and his protein shakes. He's gonna need a little bit more backup than this one. Linkser over the top, and Arc can't do anything but succumb. The Widowmaker indeed. And the Outlaws, that's map 1.
And look, you know, in this meta, where Widowmaker play is prominent in almost all games, it kind of comes down to these Widowmakers. Who's hitting shots, who doesn't. Linkser, 24 limbs, 19 final blows. Libero, 14 limbs, 8 final.
All over it. We talked about Linkser being very good in the Widow Mirror. And what a map to be able to sort of come out on top in that particular matchup. Libero definitely coming off second best in that particular engagement from the Outlaws. They need this. They've been looking for this one, Matt. Tough to go to a 5-map loss to Philadelphia previously in the week. And NYXL also coming off a loss. Who will come out on top? We'll find out after the break. This is the Overwatch League.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Neon Jelly Toast, I like the username, asks, who do you feel like you synergize most with on the Outlaws? I mean, I think everyone synergizes with Yuri just killing everyone on the other team. That's a great team play mechanic for me. But seriously, I'd probably Cool Matt. I think we have a lot of success playing together, especially on Diva Junkrat. You know, it's such a versatile duo that we can really attack or defend whatever part of the map we want to, based on the situation. So I feel like our flexibility and our team play it's just a ton of fun to play with Cool Matt, honestly. It's a pleasure.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's an excerpt from our Overwatch League All Access Pass Pro Player AMA. Every day you have an All Access Pass, you can get around that one. You don't have to wait till 4 a.m. to get that particular AMA from Jake. So get your hands on one of them. And there's a lot of other great goodies thrown in the mix as well. Even some away team jerseys.
I saw that.
The skins, right? Away team skins in game.
Hydration's AMA yesterday was pretty funny. Had some great answers. But you know, speaking of Jake, he had a very good map number 1. I just wanted to highlight this coming out. You know, we talk about it as Tracer so much, all the fans looking at it. Look at those numbers. Speak for itself right there. I mean,
there's a lot of numbers. How about you?
Savior B obviously connects with more pulse bombs, right? But you know, Jake's leading in final blows, leads in overall kill contributions, the same amount of deaths, a little bit more damage. So very safe on the Tracer play, but still very good from Jake. That's all they need from him, right?
Interestingly enough, actually, last time these two teams faced in stage 2. Oh, okay. Oh, let me just leave that one for a second. It looks like the gloves are off.
It's like they saw that game Linkser had in
Flex Foaming Pine. That's it.
They saw Linkser's map number 1.
Oh,
come in
back
well
in
for the Outlaws.
All right.
Backfiction seems to be playing. You know, map number 1s in these series, but now they bring in Muma back in.
It's getting real. All right. Well, we like to see this. Oh, let's talk a little bit more about Pine. It's Blizzard World, right? So we used to just sort of see him come in on Ilios and on that control map. What do you expect to see here?
Widowmaker, McCree. Obviously, those are the two main heroes. You see Pine play. You know, maybe they want to play some Junkrat as well. We've seen him play a little bit of Junkrat, but it's really for that Widowmaker. You know, Widowmaker up against Linkser, which you know, it's going to be tough. I mean, Linkser with the best counter sniper statistically in the Overwatch League. Allegedly. No, I did see a stat the other day. He has the most Widowmaker kills on opposing Widowmakers.
What I was going to say, is last time we saw these two teams play in stage 2, it was a moment where we saw Savior really transition into focusing backlines and not enemy tracers or tanks. I think that was like an example we used on Watchpoint after. It's like, look at him. He specifically is trying to pressure down Raucus. He's attempting to do the same thing today, but it's not working out nearly as well. Bunny is giving constant healing to Raucus, and Raucus is sometimes just straight up winning these 1v1s. So perhaps the game plan here from New York is a little outdated, or their approach that worked in stage 2 is not working here in stage 3 thus far.
New York's been able to make a lot of stuff that worked in stage 1 work all the way through now, right? They haven't had to change much. They've just been running the same things to perfection. Interesting defense here for Houston. You'll have an Orisa, Junkrat, Tracer combination. Not really too well equipped to deal with Pine's Widowmaker at range.
Okay.
Don't have anything that can really dive him. I mean, maybe it's just Linkser and Coolmat, right? But they'll get chunked down by Jonak and the rest of the members of NYXL if they go in that deep.
One thing I really liked from London that we saw earlier today against the Fusion was they wrapped around the far right side all the way onto the point. It looks like the NYXL are opting not to take this particular approach, although it seemed to work so nicely in that match. High ground control for the Outlaws. Linkser, Coolmat, and Raucus all playing on the low. So Janus jumps in. Oh, gotta be careful, buddy. He has to break away from formation, but Pine is waiting for the chance to bring him down.
So your idea here for Houston could be is, you hide some of these players behind that Orisa barrier. Links are a very difficult target to hit. See Muma getting chunked down by some shots of Pine. Force Pine to switch off with the Widowmaker. Force him to go to like McCree, and then McCree's a really easy target for the jump crack, right? You just kind of create a little bit of an advantage there for Houston.
Shield-heavy compositions generally cause a lot of problems for Widowmaker.
Coolmat just dove right at Pine and then just turned away, right? Just forces him to go all the way around to a different angle.
Meko wants to try and pressure him, but look at this. Janus comes out second best by a long shot in that trade, trying to approach the point. Pine has also been located playing inside that close quarters area. No one has seen Sabiobi here, so there's two levels of flanking going on here, but Raucus has found Pine. Can Sabiobi salvage the situation? Look at that, immediately Bunny giving the healing over to Raucus. Recall forced by Sabiobi, but he actually found Bunny, and with Linkser being down, Raucus is going to have a tough job now. Coolmat finally arrives, but a lot of the Houston Outlaws were picked apart in the start of that fight.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too late. When Raucus is getting healed up by Bonnie, obviously nobody else in the team can get much of healing, and then Sabiobi is able to take out Bonnie, and things just sort of spiraling out of control. After that, Raucus does have Transcendence, not going to use it.
Cheeky Bunny.
Bonnie will get a res though, it's a Rip Tire. Coming out from Jake. This is all the way back from the spawn though.
Yeah, I mean, and that Resurrect was to try and get the Transcendence back in play, but Raucus knew there was no point trying to make it happen. Moon is sitting on the point on his own with a supercharger here. Again, he's going to do a lot of damage, but still quite hard to cut through Janus. Still forcing him away. It's just Coolmat, Moomer, and Jake for the time being, and Bunny used his Valkyrie just to close the gap. He's now rejoined them, and the Outlaws can actually reinforce this point.
Yeah, they may be able to hold on to this for a little bit longer. Linkser also switches off. Tracer comes back on Widowmaker. There's a lot of ultimates invested here by Houston just to get back to the point to get tested. Be a self-destruct from Meko that goes way over the top and connects with Bonnie.
Great positioning. Bunny struggling to get away from that one, and the Excelsior are trying to find a way to sneak around that barrier. Pine is still playing Widowmaker, so he's looking for an angle. You can see him now. Transcendence won't save Jake if he gets a headshot here. Pine looking for that, and he's got Linkser. Not the opening that the Outlaws were hoping for now, and Raucus once again is felled. Pine gets 2 on the flanking attempt. I think we call that a job well done from the NYXL department. Now it's only 2 players left here for the Outlaws, and they're going to struggle. Bunny rejoins. Raucus got resurrected in the last couple of seconds that could have been done. The pulse bomb being dropped. The 2 supports and the Outlaws are just grouped up together now. Just as Coolmat left, they cleverly identified there was no Diva to protect the backline, and that should be it.
It's a good point A hold here from the Houston Outlaws. Obviously only 45 seconds left on the clock, but they do invest a lot of ultimates there towards the end. NYXL is going to have both support ultimates. So your win condition here is to obviously get another Rip Tire. It's a big pick there. Try and make this not get res. It'll get res all the way in the back. But if you can get like 1 or 2 of these support ults out before that point B checkpoint comes up, and then you're going to have your own by that point for Houston, it's a pretty easy point to hold because obviously it's not the live version, it's a pre-patch version, so you have to go past the gate to take point B.
Linkser and Pine both using the infra sight, trying to get the upper hand. Linkser has better positioning here. Pine knows his opponent has infra sight, so knows he fake peeks the corner to draw a shot out and then tries to reposition. But the Riptire might be a little bit harder to evade for that Widowmaker. It'll be Jonak that falls foul of it though, and Ark is down to Linkser. Widowmaker control, and you can see now that the bubble's dropped by Janus just to try and give Pine the upper hand, and it's enough. Oh, that's beautiful! Oh, he knew that Bunny was coming in for the resurrect, so Pine gets in position and picks him off. That's 2 again. A 2K from Pine to really open this up. High ground now. The process of being taken by the NYXL. Pine is assuming some very strange positions, but out of spawn, Lynx is coming out. This Widow heads up is sick.
Yeah, it's that Muma tries to jump onto Arc before they can res Janus. Janus does have primal range. He's gonna use it, try and force out some of these support ults. As Jake gets taken out by Meko up in the sky. They don't use anything. Raucus is able to deal with Janus. That's a big win there for the Outlaws. You didn't have Transcendence forced out. You didn't have to use your Valkyrie either. It will be Valkyrie used here by the Outlaws. They're gonna try and fight this. up on the payload. NYXL holding on to both of their support ults right now. Exactly what they want to do. They want to back out, wait for this Valkyrie to be done.
New York have reached the part of this second phase where they can't get any free payload progress. Now, it's firmly within the Outlaws territory, and the NYXL have to start a fight. This is not always something they love to do. We don't know them as, being that super high-octane, overly aggressive, dive-oriented team, but that bomb will do the job. No, Transcendence from Raucus. It forces it out. Now it's up to the NYXL to try and break through with their own. Both teams are looking to try and get some value out of the Transcendence, but perhaps it might just be a straight one-for-one in terms of those ultimates. Jake has a Riptide, you've heard it before, and let's see if the meme is the dream. It's Pine taken down. It's a very good pick with Meko being desuited to boot.
Yeah, I was going to say the Meko D-Mech is probably the biggest thing there. Now that he's in a Baby D.Va, you're just going to leave him out of his mech. Probably get stalled. Now, Cool Matt does have a self-destruct. You're going to throw it in over the top, and he gets really weak, but you're going to allow Bonnie to get a ton of ult charge off of these tanks. They get low, NYXL has to back out.
Oh.
You're going to have Valkyrie. They still get res right back up, though, so no worry here.
So far, in that matchup, Matt, between Linksa and Pine, Pine has 7 final blows, Linksa with 3, and Pine has definitely got most of those kills on his opposite number. Great way to open the fight, but Jake, sneaky beaky like, gives him a bit of the remote mine. And now Coolmat's trying to take cover, Hope waiting for a little bit of backup as Raucus is receiving the Valkyrie healing from Vanny and the payload sailing. NYXL have 10 seconds to get to the checkpoint.
Meko is always in the right spot, though. Coolmat gets Jonak really low, and then Meko comes back to clean him up. If he's able to pick up that kill, maybe it takes out Ark. You don't see a Valkyrie come through.
This pulse is big! It gets Jake stuck with it, and Raucus is taken down by the micro rockets. Linksa finally wins out against Pine, and it's Jonak the one that gets resurrected. Raucus is also brought back to life, but he doesn't have a Transcendence, so he still needs to stay safe. Coolmat taken down by Sabio, and the payload's getting close. It's just Linksa and Muma. Infrasight now activated. Muma trying to get back to spawn quickly and get some quick healing, but Linksa's been taken down. They've got to give up the point. NYXL break through at the 11th hour.
And what's tremendous through all that is Jonak never feels pressured enough to have to use that Transcendence. You hold on to it for so long. Ark doing a wonderful job healing him up. Meko, like I mentioned, always in the right spot on D.Va. They're never, that was one thing that Boston did good, right? They pressured him enough to have to use some of those ultimates at times they didn't like to. Now Linksa gets the better of Pine, but these get res right back up, right? So it's like, you got to beat him twice to really put him down.
It's just a psychological battle when they're going to be rezzed out. Oh! Yeah, well, it looks like Pine's been playing a bit of the Halloween special, Matt. Pretty good at shooting those rip tires. Easy enough for a Widowmaker, of course. Pine was hoping for a very small peak, and this is aggressive position.
It's actually a pretty huge shot onto the rip tire.
Oh, no! He can unravel them here. He's got 2. Linksa's been felled. Raucus is the 3rd! The big flake from Pine, and no one doesn't like him. There may be more to follow, but it may just not matter because the rest of the Outlaws are 6 feet under. And Pine now riding the payload. Quick cheeky dabbled his way through. With Sabiobi gets the D-suit and pulse bomb kill on Muma. And the Outlaws are in disarray.
Not many Widowmaker players go on the flanks like that. Pine just doesn't give a damn.
No,
Right
that's a nice way of putting him out. Like, Pine playing close to the payload here. You can see now that Muma's gone in deep. Primal Rage to force out the Transcendence. That's a good little engagement, especially because Raucus has a trance of his own to bring to the fight, and he'll have it later on. Self-destruct in over the top. Meko knocked out of his suit. In fact, it was by that self-destruct. He's now down. Ark's trying desperately to keep Jonak alive, as per usual. It's kind of the New York way of things. But Pine goes down to Linksa. Despite his earlier acrobatics, he is felled by his opposite number in the Widow. Sabiobi down. Linksa with another one. And at least the Outlaws hold on and prevent New York from finishing the map. That's, on a map like this, Matt, it's a good performance on the attacking side from New York.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, this is a very difficult map to finish. Very difficult map to even take point B, right? So for NYXL to push it that far, did a nice job. Muma forcing out that Transcendence finally there towards the end, right? Gives the Outlaws an advantage. Raucus doesn't have to use his until Jonax is basically over. He just gains so much healing, especially with Valkyrie up at the time as well. But, like we mentioned, a very good push from NYXL. Pine, for me, huge difference now that he's in the game. Libero's Widowmaker has been good, right? But I think needed to bring in the big guns for this matchup.
I can almost see what Ark's saying now. It's like, good job, guys. Now I want everyone to say something nice about each other really quickly before we jump in. So pure. So bad. Links to the man on your screen. Yeah, I mean, he definitely lost out to Pine in that 1v1. It was close, I'll be honest with you, and that kill towards the end was very important. 7 final blows for 10 eliminations and 9 deaths is Linksa. Pine also has 9 deaths, and has about 3 more final blows. So you are seeing 2 Widowmakers that are playing each other very close And it's crazy the dynamics that this creates across the rest of the map. Moom is now back in the roster. You saw what he did there just to force that trans at the end of that last round.
And against NYXL, you know, when the Widowmaker's not working, what do? Do you want to switch to a full-on dive with Genji Tracer? Then you're going to let Sabielby just run crazy on your backline, right? And what do you do? Close the gap here. Maybe try to have Linkser play McCree. But that's such an easy target for Pine at range with no shield to hide behind. So really puts you in a tough spot.
I mean, it's even nastier when it's Libero on the roster if he's performing at the level Pine is, because you play Genji Tracer, Libero's like, I might just play Para.
Yeah, play Para, they play Junkrat, a lot of different things they can do.
So, the Houston Outlaws now, no short order for them to accomplish here, and they'll come forward with Linkser on the McCree.
Okay, I was going to say, maybe Bonnie would play Lucio here, try and get everybody's speed pass, but...
Get him out of Widow range quick.
I mean, McCree, you want the Mercy pocket as well, so...
You want the everyone pocket on McCree. You want 5 players intently focused upon you, ushering you forward, words of encouragement, and a lot of healing and peel. Oh, Pine! Heads are rolling, but this time it's Linkser, the big boss, is down. Maybe there's a new boss in town. It's going to be Janus falling to Linkser. Just 2 hits. It's just that easy. Deconstructing the NYXL, and now there has to be a response, but there's only 4 players remaining. Jake's down to Sabielby. At least he's managed to get his opposite player. But they're sitting up on the point, almost 2 ticks. See the Pine and Janus trying to return to the fray. Only having the Diva here in terms of tanks is really going to hurt NYXL for the time being. Linkser, it's away with Flash. Maybe expecting Sabielby to get in his face. Pine, again, another slap. Brought back to reality. Nope. Another one more. You can see that the defense matrix behind him. Great use of that one there by Meko, protecting Widowmaker. Love to see it.
It's Sabielby who's picking up that first kill and then staying alive on the point with Echo, but it's the positioning of Pine coming off the spawn. So he takes that high ground up by that little ride there where the little carousel's going around, and he looks straight across to the point. What he's doing there is just putting shots on the tanks, and Bonnie can't cross because he doesn't want to get headshot, and Raucus can't really get a line of sight to be able to heal these guys either because he's just trying to defend himself from Sabielby coming around the opposite way. So it was really Pine who put Houston in a really tough position, is positioning up on high ground.
That's a nice stat. Good way to get ahead. I used to try and count in my head, those kind of battles back in the day before we had guys.
We're a little bit more advanced now.
I like it. So Jake needs to beat out Sabielby. It's quite important here. He went down. He got crushed by him earlier on in the fight. And Sabielby got to run. Oh, okay, maybe he doesn't have to. Jonak forced to wait. Link's just hitting a lot of these shots right now. Solid 41% accuracy. Can't complain about that. Raucus now going down, but it was the trade. Sabielby's missing. Meko's taken down by the self-destruct to resurrect. Raucus is back in the fight. He has a Transcendence. Jonax is just about to expire, so now it's going to be the season of the Outlaws as they move in towards the point. They're thriving. And Pine is down to the Deadeye. Linkser moving up to the point, putting himself in his optimal range as McCree, where he can battle out a Widowmaker with a degree of confidence. Jonak needs to be careful. That's a big headshot.
And Coolmat actually takes out Meko with his self-destruct as Meko's trying to resuit. So actually quite funny. Both Divas self-destructing at the same time, same place. Linkser goes back to this one. So they want to go into this Widowmaker battle here into the second stage of the map. And I think this is probably something you almost have to do with how the map's designed, right? So much verticality here in the second stage. It would just be a shooting gallery for Pine if you didn't have some kind of response.
Trying to shoot the high ground. You heard the sound of the orbs of destruction being sent off. And Linkser, how does Sabielby get into the backline there? Linkser would be saying to himself, guys, you got to be watching that. Widowmaker can't really afford to watch her 6 or a 3 for that matter. She's being pressured in that manner. So Jake's, scooching the payload up a little bit, getting some free progress, but it's a long way back and he has to retreat through the entirety of the NYXL. This is bad. He uses a recall to get back onto the payload. I mean, it's rough for him, right? He can't, there's no way he was ever really going to escape that, and he gets staggered out by a good 10 seconds here.
Now they'll have to wait for Jake to get back into play, but the things that Jonak does for this team, Mitch, get this, leading them in overall damage right now on Zenyatta. 25% to team damage. You look at him compared to Raucus, it's going to be 9,000 damage compared to 4,300. And obviously, Arc providing the damage boost, a lot of that, but
he's got double the damage.
Yeah.
Big difference. All right, so Meko's desuited here. And Coolmat there just getting a little bit crushed down by Sabielby who tries to come forward. So Linkser fighting Pine there, that's big. Link's has actually started to tilt that matchup in his favor in the last few moments. And this Transcendence meet Pulse Bomb. I don't think they're going to be friends. Yeah, great timing there. Just as it comes out, he gets 2. Sabiobi with 3. Bunny to fall. Oh, great way to shut up the Outlaws very quickly as they start to gain momentum. Remember, New York didn't even finish the map, but they got far enough that it's still a big task for the Outlaws to try and bring it back. And Pine knows. He knows. Lynx is looking for him. It's imprecise. Pine's expired now.
Do you have Valkyrie here for the Outlaws? Need to get a good use of this ultimate. The issue is if you use it, you're going to put yourself in a tough spot to actually take point B. Because a minute and 38 seconds ago, if you use it, you're going to have to win probably 2 more fights. The second fight's going to be extremely long as well. Coolmac gets demexed, so probably can't even make anything out of this. So no, oh, Bonnie pops Valkyrie, because you probably think you're just going to res up one player, but now you've lost Coolmac and Jake. So now, I mean, you're at a loss.
I mean, ideally, you don't even want to think about resurrecting if you're using the Valkyrie. You use it in a 6v6 or a 6v5, and then you want to use it to get aggressive behind. I'm going to resurrect 2 players now. Obviously, Mercy can't do that anymore. Oh, okay, Jake just gets picked out. Let's be honest, Pine wasn't trying to hit that. Just takes a shot in. Bunny does get a resurrect. Time is running very thin for the Outlaws, though. They're trying a different approach. Work in from that left-hand side instead of coming through the gate. They're on the payload, and now it's up to the NYXL to decide how to respond.
The Outlaws just haven't been able to close the gap, though, right? NYXL, they've just played far behind with Pine, and then Sabiel B's got into the back line all alone. They do get Janus, though, as he goes in a little bit too deep. Uma is using Primal Rage here. Huge pick off. Just to try and stay alive. He's pushing some players back. Jonak will use Transcendent, so you get that big Zenyatta ultimate out of the way. They have to, I mean, it's kind of difficult to dodge this pulse bomb, right? Sabiel B, you're an Outlaws fan. I don't want to see him come out with something big.
Sabiel B's feeling probably a little bit frustrated right now because there are a lot of zone controlling effects active. There was a Primal Rage and then a self-destruct thrown in, so he actually had to wait in the wings. It's time for him to make up for that, though he still can. He went down to 28 HP, though, as soon as he tried to approach Raucus. Took a big front-loaded damage hit from him. And Muma makes himself a Mecho pancake, but Linksa is down. Now the Outlaws are missing that Widowmaker. He wasn't resurrected up. Bunny has the Valkyrie to get aggressive behind. Jake, you see, he's at the far side there, looking for Jonak, trying to pressure down the Zenyatta here from the NYXL. But Raucus, the Zenyatta for the Outlaws, is down himself. Muma's dropping and Bunny can't do too much, but try and zoom up in the air and just stay safe. But he eventually is taken down. Coolmac, self-destruct on the point, and Jake's trying to stay alive and at least gets rid of Janus, but there's still 4 players trying to cut through, and he's the last hope of the Outlaws. Lynx is going to try and walk up there, but he won't get there in time. Map 2, NYXL. It's a tied series.
They woke up Sabiel B here in map number 2. 35 elims, 20 final blows, only 2 deaths. Still had Jonak finish tops in overall damage on this team, though, but the combination of Jonak, Sabiel B, and Pine, just way too explosive there in map number 2 for the Outlaws.
And I'll be honest with you, last map, Jake, very good on that tracer against Sabiobi. Now, easily coming off second best. Sabiobi, 35 eliminations, 20 final blows. Jake, 12 elims, 9 final blows. He also has 12 more deaths than Sabiobi, who had 2 for the entire map. The Tracer matchup won by the NYXL there. Also Pine kicking off in that Widowmaker, very important. What an incredible individual. We'll be back after the halftime break with more of this epic series.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
Looks like we may be headed to another map 5 here on Saturday. Houston got the win on Volskaya Industries, but it's New York XL bouncing back, taking Blizzard World, and tying this series up 1-1. Welcome back, everybody. It's Papa Bucket with the boys. We got the breadcrumbs, and so far, we've had a good day of games. I'm really surprised, though, to see us at 1-1 at the half. And most importantly, that it was Houston kind of crushing the second half of Volskaya. That's where we're going to start the conversation right now as we take ourselves back to map number 1. Crumbs, I want to start with you as the map is loading up and as we saw the early fights on point A. What were the teams showing us?
So the first thing that stood out for me for Houston was how aggressive they were. They're being very assertive in particularly focusing down Jonak, and it seemed like they had a lot more free time to do that. Typically teams are struggling a little more before they decide to take the initiative, and what ended up happening was Saebyeolbe was really kept in check, but it wasn't an individual matchup like what we saw against Boston where Striker was doing it. It was a coordinated team effort to make sure that he did not get going.
Constantly shutting down the Tracer and then also focus down Jonak, who is always damage boosted. Sounds like a good plan.
That is the key to victory, really, when you're playing against New York Excelsior, because of the way they play with Jonak being that hard carry sort of person. It's very interesting as well when teams sort of formulate. And I had an inkling, right, that Houston were going to be able to take this first map because of the way they were playing, because they were, for one, subbing in Fact Fiction is a lot more aggressive. You can punish Janus for playing a lot more passive, but also they have had a lot more success recently on that one particular map, whereas New York been looking a bit shaky since that Boston game. But realistically, if you want to look at the game-winning moment, well, I've got the juice for you right here, right now, with this wonderful replay that we can check out, and it is fantastic. I do say so myself. New York Excelsior right now, they are really in a bit of a pickle. They got 3 seconds on the clock, which means Janus, he has to jump straight onto this point.
No pressure.
Force the overtime. No pressure at all. But it's not only that, right? New York are definitely on the back foot because Ark had to use the Resurrect onto Libero. So already that is a good 30 seconds down on the clock with no Resurrect available to him whatsoever, right? And this plays out, again, just how you'd probably imagine it. Houston are trying to basically focus down Janus. They try and get him down whilst, Libero's trying to pick players off into the background. But the game-winning moment happens in the midst of this team fight, right at the end of this Transcendence here. And then just here you see Janus now moves to try and make a move onto Linkser, essentially, forcing him back. Linkser has to grapple all the way to the back here, but Janus is too slow. He doesn't catch him, so Linkser stays alive. But really, the key winning moment has got to be Raucus when he comes out of this Transcendence. Now, pay attention. I'll play it through slowly for you so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Straight out of Transcendence, gets an instant pick onto Saebyeolbe. Damage boosted up by Bani. And because they've got no Resurrect, we saw earlier, this is almost an instantly won fight because Houston can now take their time. Linkser's still alive. They pick off Janus because he's low, trying to chase down Linkser. Fact Fiction managed to build up his Primal Rage, and he was dealing with the back line, basically keeping them completely out the fight. And from there, it is just picking off the remaining players. And it's just Houston playing it absolutely wonderfully. And I gotta say, it was wonderful to watch because they played everything right. They'd learnt New York's weaknesses from the Boston game, and they played straight into it.
I think my favorite part of that was just watching Fact Fiction push 3 players into the wall in the bottom right-hand corner. All right, so Volskaya goes to the Houston Outlaws. This is a Winston Primal Raging, by the way. But let's talk Blizzard World, because this is where New York XL rebounds, bounces back, and shows us the big boss once again. Pine was brought in for this map. Why'd you bring him out?
And I am so glad you asked it exactly like that, Puckett, because this map right here is so brand new that it seems like teams are brawling more than thinking about set strategies and tactics for this map. And so you bring in Pine, the guy that you want to go for these control maps, who's got the accuracy to take down the rip tires out of Jake, who's got the accuracy to go for these flanks. And because Linkser was in the zone in the first map, he really just showed up Libero. And so you bring out Pine, have him somebody to go up against, and the map just devolved into Widow versus Widow, Pine versus Linkser every single time, 5 people around them. But here's a critical component that was forgotten. In game 1, the focus was not on Libero because he was kept in check. It was on Saebyeolbe, so he was completely off the map. This time around, as Uber said, Saebyeolbe was not
kept in check.
Was not kept in check. It was ugly. It was 35-20 and 2 deaths to his name.
I was really impressed. The Winston drawing a lot of attention, Pine on the Widow drawing a lot of attention, and then Saebyeolbe shooting you in the back like we're used to. So New York ties things up 1 apiece, but we said at the start of this halftime, we could see this one going all the way to a game 5. For all the Houston fans out there, Tell me the story. How do we get there in the second half, Bren? Because I know one of these maps is not good for them.
I mean, both the maps are not particularly great for Houston. That's the real issue here. We're going into Ilios, which again is kind of like the playground for New York Excel, you know. If they choose to bring out Big Boss Pine again, it's going to be pretty rough for them. And again, you've got Route 66. Now, Houston Outlaws, I don't believe they've actually finished a push attempt to pass the first checkpoint on Route 66. They're currently sitting at a 0% win rate. So they've got to have something big to pull out here. Honestly, a miracle strategy or a change in play style, if they want to try and take it to New York Excelsior, they're more than capable of doing it, but it's going to be very difficult when New York Excelsior are already so well versed on those maps.
Bren, last time you were on this stage, you went 0-3 in predictions. Today, you're 1 for 1. You got a chance to go 2 for 2. Who are you picking in the second half? Same question to you, Crumbs.
What? I mean, I've already set it up, haven't I? New York Excel, it's got to make the most
For
sense.
sure, New York for you as well?
Yeah, I'm going with New York, but nothing's official until there's a little logos down there. But it is a halftime, and just based off of the maps and the fact that control is going to be inevitable for map 5, I have to give it to New York.
Anyone out there want to see Houston Outlaws upset this analyst desk tonight? A few people out there cheering on the Outlaws. It's not going to be easy, though. You're going up against the best team in the league. That's going to do it for our halftime coverage. But remember, it's Twitch Day, and that means we brought in some special friends. Dado and Harblue, 2 of our Twitch partners, are in the venue today. They'll be on the show in the second half. Also, earlier in the day, we got a chance to see the Philadelphia Fusion take down the London Spitfire in 5 maps. We got a chance to sit down with Poco from the Fusion in this week's Game Set, sponsored by Omen by HP.
I'm Poco, playing for Philadelphia Fusion. I like to tank a lot, and yeah, Zarya and Diva deal a lot of damage and they have a lot of HP pool, so pretty fun to play. So for Zarya, I changed my projected barrier sensitivity. I put it on 85 because if you put it lower, it's gonna be very precise. For Diva, all booster off and toggle defensive matrix off.
Poco, man, tier 1 diva play.
For me, the important settings are video quality. I put mostly everything on low because you don't really care about details in match. You are like focused on your own game, and if the game looks bad, it doesn't really matter. Back at home, I have a really bad computer. Here we have the HP Omen computers are their beast. I mean, you can have everything on ultra, but I'm putting everything on low because I'm used to it now. The mouse sensitivity, for me, it's really important. I used to play on my computer browser, and he was playing with high sensitivity, so I couldn't touch it. Most of the players are really low. They need to do a lot of movement with the arm, but me, I'm playing with the wrist. I feel like me, to do a 360, I'm gonna need to do only maybe 10 centimeters. They're gonna need to do 30, maybe, because I'm playing Diva, so most of the time I wanna be aware of everything. I wanna be looking my front lane, looking my back lane, and I want to move like whatever I want. I'm pretty lucky, to be honest. At the beginning, I just started to play the game, to just have fun with friends, and little by little, I just climbed, and here I am.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
welcome back, everybody. We're all tied up in this matchup between the Houston Outlaws and the NYXL 1-1. And I don't know about you guys, but I think we have another 5-mapper on our hands. But guys, I am joined by two of the most popular Twitch streamers out there. Two Twitch partners here on Twitch Day. They have joined us. We got Dado and Hard Blue in the building. Everybody give it up for these two. Yes. All right, so you guys both do Overwatch content. What can I expect when I go to your channel? What do you guys do differently? Do you guys do Overwatch comp? Do you fool around in quick play? What can I expect?
Well, yeah, so for me, I've played like Overwatch professionally pretty much before OWL came out. So like top 500 Roadhog, Zarya, those are like my two mains. And then I guess the one thing my stream's known for is I guess I'm normally kind of positive on it. So, you know, you see some streamers who sometimes get a little tilted, a little toxic. I try and avoid all that and just keep it like a kind of friendly environment for it. So just some good Roadhog play, some good hooks.
I love that, man. Positivity is good. It keeps you young. Keeps you young. Positive people don't age. What about you, Dado?
Yeah, you know, I'm like top like 500,000 at least. So you can catch me normally dying to Genji as Zen. It's my favorite thing. I love it. And you know, a little bit of Zarya, a little bit of Moira. I usually play support because nobody else wants to, but I try and keep it light and try and be a team player.
So you're a yellow ball Moira, right? Not a purple only.
Yeah, no, I throw the yellow ball.
Awesome. All right, cool. All right, so is this you guys' first time here at the Blizzard Arena?
Yeah, I was actually hoping my first time here would be as a player, but you know, being here, seeing it in person, makes me just that much more motivated actually to keep on practicing, improving, and hopefully get here as a player someday. But I mean, the stage is awesome, so it's pretty cool.
Excellent. Dado, what do you think about it so far?
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I used to live here for 6 years, and I've seen a lot of studios, and this is by far one of the most impressive. It's really crazy, and you know, it's great. I'm loving it.
Excellent, man. So now, Dado, I heard you say that you keep up with the Overwatch League pretty regularly. I imagine you do too. What is you guys' favorite teams and favorite players? I'm gonna start with you, Hard Blue.
For me, it's probably any of the players who used to play Team Fortress 2, just because I came from that game also, like Muma right up there. Shoutouts to Muma. As for favorite team, I don't really have a favorite. Whichever one picks me up, I guess, would be my favorite one.
There it is. I love that, right? What about you, Dado?
My favorite team, I mean, there's no Seattle team, not yet. So I'm from, I should be an Excel fan, but I'm a Gladiators fan. Favorite player, Surefour, Big Goose, love seeing the Goose and Shaz. I'm with the supports, you know? I know their pain, so I can sympathize a lot more. So I love seeing good support play.
Oh, that's so excellent. Well, yo, thank you two for joining us here on Twitch Day. Everybody give it up for Dado and Hard Blue. And guys, let's go ahead and get back to the action with our casters, Uber and Mr. X. Take it away, boys.
Yeah, thank you very much, Malik. It's been a while since I've seen young Hard Blue. He's looking good. I mean, last time I saw him was DreamHack in 2016, playing with Complexity. He's playing with Joe Meister. And he might say that he doesn't get toxic on stream, and that's true. He's very positive, but I haven't heard anyone pop off in team comms like him before. Yo, this guy just kept yelling, like, I'm killing him. Woo! Like, constantly, the guy is a ball of energy. So nice to see him. But let's jump back into the match at hand. Subs galore.
Yeah, it's going to be Mono who comes in here for NYXL in the main tank role, taking over for Janice. Seems like they've kind of flipped these, right? Janice used to come in for control in the previous stages, now the other way around. Animo will come in for Arc, so we saw him in action in their Boston match the other day. They're going to give him some run here on Nepal. Libero comes in here for Pine as well.
Right, so yeah. He's picked up, obviously, in that last sort of signing window, and Arc has obviously been a mainstay for the NYXL since then. A little bit of a mix-up here, and you know, it might indicate us, but maybe we expect to see Lucio from him. Perhaps it might not be, you know, the standard Mercy staple, because I feel like Arc is definitely, well, as we know, he dies the least, which is a support metric, is one of the most important.
Would be. I know Mono can come in as well, because you do see they play like double off tank sometimes.
Yeah, like a Diva Roadhog.
They do it on Oasis. I don't recall them doing it here on Nepal, but you know, it's something they always have in their back pocket. So you're going to see Mono play Reinhardt here at the start. Okay, so they're going to play Bastion. This is something the Outlaws did earlier in the season to another team. Yeah, to Philly.
It didn't actually work though. They almost won the round and Philly managed to turn it. So we'll see.
Yeah, but Bastion just kind of sends your whole team into disarray because it's like, oh, they have a Bastion. It's like, what do we do? It's like, oh, and also, well, the Outlaws aren't running a shield tank as well. They're running double.
They're going to get shredded.
So they're going to get just mowed down.
Yeah, this is really scary for them. I think we first saw Cloud9 do this a couple of years ago. We called it El Presidente. I think that was the unfortunate name that stuck for it. And the idea is to, facilitate this Bastion to do as much damage as humanly possible. So the Outlaws now will probably try and switch to something that lets them kind of get close to this Bastion, sneak a Tracer or a Junkrat or someone in, but right now the team comp is not great to deal with this.
Yeah, I think about on this NYXL, it's kind of like protect the VIP, where you're just gonna have to pick a really nice boop away there. It was a hook that came through on the Libero. It'll be a sound barrier used by Animo. It's gonna be a rip tire here from Jake. Oh, a big tire there from Jake. There's nothing you could do about that. I mean, it's a 3-man rip tire. Deadeye that comes through from Lynx as well. That'll be the end of the Bastion experiment. So, fortunate for Houston, right? They only get 28% of that.
It's curious. It's NYXL have a Bastion, and yet they're sort of opting to play off of the point there. You notice that Libero was kind of looking for an angle or someone to shoot at, and the rest of his team were kind of dying. So perhaps they didn't play into their own wheelhouse that well, but they switched now to the Genji.
Playing with a Lucio and then losing your Ana. Your Ana's really the big healer there in that composition for NYXL. Once Jonak goes down on that, there's not a lot of healing for everybody. So just kind of snowballs out of control. But that also forces NYXL to make a lot of changes, right? Houston's just going to have Jake switch over from Junkrat to Tracer. But look at the ultimates on the side of NYXL. They're starting pretty much from scratch here.
Frustrating as well for Mano. Primal Rage can be pretty important when it comes to the stall phase. But he's taken down by a Swift Strike there. Meko blocking a lot of that front-loaded damage that Moomba's trying to provide here. There's a whole hog on the way and a self-destruct thrown at the point. So Houston are happy to give the point up for the time being. Mano's low. He won't get away with this one. Libero a little bit too late on the reflect and took the first big hit. Raucus and Moomba are both down, and Lisa, yeah, that's what Diva's going to do on this particular patch, especially. Burst down McCree's is like my worst nightmare, to be honest. But now on live, don't freak out too much. She does about 21% less burst damage. Still don't want to get caught out by it, though.
It's tremendous how NYXL turns those fights in their favor. A lot of compositional changes. They come in with no ultimates. Look at it now. They have the point, and they're going to be stocked up with ults. It's going to be a Lynxer. So using that Deadeye up top, just trying to get some space, right? Create some space to allow Houston to get to the point.
We use zoning out ult jokingly there, but for the Outlaws, it was important that they have a chance to set up and approach the point under the cover of the Deadeye. Sabiobi's trying to protect Jonak here from, it looks like it might have worked. The recall now out of Jake. Trying to get rid of the Zenyatta, didn't quite work out. Another Transcendence has been brought to bear. Sabiobi has a pulse bomb. He'll probably look to apply it to the point of this roiling mass of players from Houston. That's a 1 and a 2. Libero found Raucus there, picked straight out of the bunch. And now he can circle back around to deal with the tanks who were trying to pressure Jonak and co. Very cleanly executed stuff here at the NYXL. Look like they'll have this round all tied up, despite a very odd start with the Bastion.
You think once Houston's able to break that setup, they had an advantage in terms of ults, you would have been able to hold on to it. I mean, looking back, they don't have that rip tire. They may not ever even break that, right, with the way the rest of the game went. I mean, once they got that opening with the rip tire and they switched off with the Junkrat, they were never able to make any progress back towards that point.
All things being equal, in terms of DPS and tanks, there is maybe one other team that features a Zenyatta that, frags so heavily, or even remotely as heavily, and that's Ocean, right? So the Outlaws are kind of behind the 8 ball in that regard anyway, because Raucus it's not the point. Raucus isn't supposed to be set up to play that role. He's not pocketed and he's not intended to be that big damage dealer. But now with Jonak doing so much work, the rest of the Outlaws in their roles have to work so much harder to try and overcome that with their own contributions.
I would say it's just a different way of playing around this end.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, NYXL, they enabled Jonak to be such a big damage dealer. I would say another Zen in the league, we don't talk about a ton. I think he does a great job. I think Sleepy does a great job putting down, a good amount of damage. You
can throw Shaz in there as well.
Oh, yeah. Fabulous Zens in the league. I think Raucus is in there as well. Just Raucus doesn't get that constant support, right? Like all the other Zens.
Yeah. Meko applies the Shepherd's Crook to the neck of Banny. And we'll catch him with that hook as he tries to scuttle away. This has not been a great start here for the Outlaws in general to this map. Fairly similar compositions, in fact, actually. Kind of identical, except for the Diva inclusion for the Roadhog NYXL. Going without the Diva. Happy enough with the Mano shoot.
Well, you have enough healing from Animo on the Jonak, and obviously some help from Libero there to protect the supports. You don't really worry You know, with Jonak in the back fighting alone. That time, though, he gets picked up by Coolman.
And that's what D.Va will do for you over the Hulk, to be able to pursue and chase down those kills and have a bit of extra mobility. But this is what the Hulk gives you, a heck of a lot of front-loaded damage. Coolman just blasted into next Tuesday. And now the shield dropped down on the point by Muma. Meko trying to approach. Animo is down to Jake. Healing sorely restricted, but Sabiobi has an excellent angle here on Muma. Oh dear, Raucus. Let me know what the gold's like.
Sabiobi with the shot there.
Rare occasion that we see him sort of pick up the Widowmaker, unless Libro's playing Junkrat or something similar. You can see the man can deliver.
Yeah, I mean, he's an expert at, you know, Tracer, Widow, McCree. Seems to be the heroes that he kind of stays to. You can play a Roadhog as well if you need it. It'll be Jake with a Riptire.
Right. Riptire. Got a couple seconds left on this one. Yeah, he kind of has to pull the pin on that one. Sabiobi is down. There you go, Jake takes 31% extra damage on Junkrat when he plays against NYXL. And you know what? This is also, there's a reason for this. In interviews, teams like the NYXL say, our biggest threat is Jake's Junkrat. And everyone thought they were joking or mean or politely sort of insulting him. But they prioritize that pick because Jake creates so much chaos on the Junkrat. They don't know how to navigate it. They're used to a very regimented approach and style of play in New York. So when Junkrat sort of throws everyone around and sets everything off kilter, it causes him a lot of problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hero that everybody's like, all right, you know, Junkrat, well, what's the deal? Can't be that much better.
I'll see you, Meko.
There goes Meko off the side. The halt that comes in from Muma. But I think Jake is just that much better than everybody else on Junkrat. Like, it's a clear difference between his Junkrat and others. Raucus will use Transcendence trying to keep Muma alive. A Supercharger invested into this as well. As Houston wants to hold on to the point. Infrasight used here by Linkser. Trying to hit some shots.
Jonak barrels forward here. The Transcendence mobility just kind of allows his team to step in front of the Houston shield and just walk straight through it and not really be worried about taking too much damage back. Jonak there hoping the Discord Orb will finish the job. He still needs to be a little bit careful, but he does find the finish. He's gotten two. Raucus and Jake are both down to him. Of course, he had the barrier. Makes life a hell of a lot easier for him. The Outlaws made it to 80% though, so well on the way to making this a competitive 3-stage map. Another fight needs to be won though. They're in a Riptire. Maybe the starter's pistol in that regard.
It has to be. You're gonna have to see Jake get something with this Riptire, and the rest of the Outlaws push onto the point. Muma just kind of trying to establish himself through the front here. Yep, that'll set the Riptire up to come out.
In behind the barrier, he notices Fortify was used there, so he didn't want to go for it, but instead he sends it into Meko, which just takes a breather and heals up the damage. However, Raucus is able to capitalize on a lower health Mano to find the kill. The 1-for-1. Linkser deals with Meko. Linkser sitting back. Sabiobi has an infrasign here, so Linkser needs to be a little bit careful. Sabiobi will be looking to either get his opposite number or remove this shield. But there's no backup. It's another flank around the back. Jake is respawning in, so he might be in a position to stop this, and Linkser finds Sabiobi despite his opponent having wall hacks. Now he has some of his own.
Yeah, Animo's in no position to even get over towards him. Linkser actually gets halted towards the bottom, uses the grapple to get back up top, so that halt from Mano not going to do much. Meko switches over to D.Va. He gets demeched. This stage will go to the Houston Outlaws.
Sabiobi didn't have the blink to get there. Look at that grim determination for Muma and the rest of the Outlaws. And it's a good turnaround there for them as well. I mean, Jake, the Junkrat, fits this team very nicely. They play well around it. Teams like NYXL have said publicly multiple times they fear its impact.
I think
it did have.
This next stage is where you're going to see a lot of mind games being played.
Mind games?
Libero,
mind games?
Yeah,
or Ryan games?
Mind games, Mitch.
Oh,
mind games. Because Libero, it's really down to Houston. What do you think Libero does? Do you think he stays on Junkrat? Do you think he plays Pharah? Because that kind of really impacts what you want to run. Does he play Genji here, right? A lot of different things he can bring in. If you think he runs Junkrat, you run a Junkrat of your own. If you think he's going to run the Pharah, you probably need Linkser to play McCree. Right now, it looks like Houston, they believe that Junkrat's going to come out again. Fortunate for them, they're right.
Yes, indeed. Junkrat face off. No Pharah.
If NYXL loses this first fight, the point goes over to Houston. I think he probably does go Pharah, because you look at the other side, right? Tracer, Junkrat, Pharah would be very effective against that.
Seems kind of tough though to try and retake the point with that Pharah. A little bit tricky. Again, it's much easier to get shots on the point than it is on Village, for example, because you can do it from a higher angle. Well, Linkser sees a rather low health Libero for the time being. He was healed up. Definitely thinking about diving in. And he gets his recall force just because Sabiobi gets the drop on him. Now he's able to turn around and address that threat from the front. And both tanks on the NYXL are very low. That's where the focus has been by the looks of things from the Outlaws. Mano and Meko.
Yeah, they're able to take advantage of Mano when he gets a little bit weak. Animo does have Valkyrie. He's gonna have Valkyrie for Bonnie as well. It'll be Riptire comes out for Libero. You do get Muma. Maybe this can get Rez back up though.
We heard that Riptire come through. The Libero and found Jonak here. Cool Matt down. He actually died to the total mayhem of Libero. The Martyrdom effect, and now Jake's got his own Riptire. That's a good chunk of damage on towards Meko, and Linksa needs to capitalize. He does. Turns the D.Va into a pin cushion. And the Outlaws now take control. Animo, this is dangerous for him. Linksa, very adept on the Tracer. When he needs to step in for Jake, he does it well.
And like I was mentioning, I thought NYXL would switch out of this to Pharah. They do that exactly. So you see Junkrat Tracer on the other side. Libero has a fantastic Pharah. What his job is, like you mentioned, it's really hard, Mitch, to put down a lot of damage when you're trying to go back onto the point. You see the angles he's taking. His job, though, just get players weak, and then you're relying on SabielB and Mano and Meko to go in and finish these kills off.
Junkrat really gets put in the bin up against Pharah most times. You can use a remote mine to shoot yourself up to the same altitude, then use your second remote mine to blow up the Pharah, just like
exactly
that.
Jake just
Jay has done that. It's the only way you do it. You use both remote mines, so you lack mobility after the fact for a little while. But if you get rid of the Pharah, it's pretty worthwhile. The burst is real. SabielB will wait. He'll operate around the fringes of the Transcendence that's being used, and then turn his pulse bomb, probably on Muma. I think it landed on the outside of the shield, it looks to be the case, so no real big damage on Muma. He's down to half. Primal Rage is available for him though, just as Mana was used to remove Raucous.
This fight going a very long time. NYXL is going to be in trouble if they don't come out on top. Mano trying to use Primal Rage, uses his Elite. Off a cooldown to get back to the point. You see 3 kills go in favor of NYXL. It's going to be Muma, Linksa, and Jake. The only ones alive here for the Outlaws.
And you know what? At this stage, the Outlaws are happy enough to die on the point if that's going to happen, but the NYXL, they quickly collect themselves, and then they come back forward. Houston, of their own volition, walk off because they hit that 99%. There's no value in stalling any longer. It's not worth the risk of getting staggered.
And you have a great opportunity here for the Outlaws. You have a Riptide, right? Jake connects with the support. He connects with Animo. There's a real good chance that the Outlaws take this map.
Outlaws start off at a deficit. Their first round doesn't go well. Second, they clutch it out. Third, they're in front for the most of it. Jake drops in, but no, the Riptire is eaten up. That might have been their win condition in this fight. With Libero taking down Jake from long range, at such a range that a Junkrat couldn't interact with him whatsoever, that will be a one fight for the NYXL.
It seems like Houston today, they really try to target Meko with a
Double
lot of
hit
these.
stand?
With a lot of these ultimates, yeah, they'll go. Okay, and they're gonna have.
Wait.
Oh, all right, now you have a cool match change back. They've really been trying to target Meko. Whenever they get pulse bombs, always going over towards Meko. You saw right there the Riptire trying to demech Meko. It seems like Houston kind of thinks he's, the key in their defense of Jonak potentially. That if you get Meko demeched and you kind of push on through after that, you're able to make something happen. Libero with a rocket barrage here. It's gonna be very hard to use this ultimate going up against double hit scan.
Linksa probably doesn't want to play on the point either because you have very limited opportunities to get clear shots on Libero. And Libero will just see the McCree and go, well, okay, I'll just play much sharper angles. Transcendence here, so good for the McCree. Again, a lot of attention is what he requires. The Primal Rage is out. Jonak could use the Transcendence just prior himself. Now, with Animo being down, this is the opening for the Outlaws. Flash dropped in. Linksa's being pocketed by Banny, so he can stay alive through the Primal Rage. Rocket shut Libero down. This could be the opening. Now we're going to be off to the races. Linksa had healing, but it wasn't quite enough. Bunny had already fallen to Meko, but it may not matter here. The XL can't get to the point. Map 3 goes to the Outlaws, and now they set themselves up. Could you imagine this? NYXL losing twice in 1 week. It's never happened before in the Overwatch League.
Be crazy if they do. Didn't see it there towards the end, but Jake switched off the soldier back to Tracer, and he was able to push on through. With Muma pick up a kill on that back line as Houston has an opportunity to close this one out. Coming up next, but I feel like this one's going to go to 5.
And perhaps that's exactly what we're hoping for here. 2 powerhouses going at it up to the break. Maybe 1 more, maybe 2.
The Overwatch League is
I'm going in, I'm knocking you guys in.
Very low heals. They're beaten. Chase on me, left side.
Got you. Move to the right.
I'm moving.
I don't know.
Got him.
Oh,
Yo, slow, it's not over. Now it's over. It's very over. Okay, good job, guys.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
In the first week of Stage 3, the Houston Outlaws were looking to pick up their third regular season win against the London Spitfire. London looked to hold Houston before the second point and gained a 2-0 lead going into the half.
Houston, though, still all over this payload, but now it's the response. They come in so fast on point B. The EMP from Prophet again going to force Houston to play a bit more conservatively.
With less than 30 seconds left on the clock, Cool Matt used his self-destruct to no avail and left Jake's Junkrat as the only Outlaw player with their ultimate. Jake then unleashed his tire, looking to turn the tide in Houston's favor.
Prophet. There's a Riptire kill onto the tank. That's what you need to push through.
Jake eliminated Gesture and demeched Fury. Next, he followed up the clutch play by taking out Birdring. With Prophet left as the sole survivor, Houston reached the point and took the map.
This should be it for Houston.
They have got it. Houston Outlaws. It was tough, but they will tie up this series on Blizzard World.
Houston won the match on the tiebreaker map and picked up their third regular season win over the London Spitfire. That right there was the turning point where Jake and the Houston Outlaws turned a sour moment into something sweet. Presented by Sour Patch Kids Candy.
Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Zoe and it's time for some real talk. The Houston Outlaws have not won a single game on Route 66 so far in the Overwatch League. That's no reason to laugh. Now, I of course went into their dugout during halftime and talked to them about their performance on this very map. And they did actually assure me, or rather Flame, their GM, assured me that they have put more work into this specific map for the last 3 days than they did in the whole of Stage 1, 2, and 3 combined. All right, that's a promise. Now, he said he's not going to promise me that they're going to 100% win on Route 66. However, they are more prepared than they ever have been. So let's see how they will fare. Do you guys think they can take it home? All right, let's find out. Mr. X, Uber, please take it away.
I dig it. Thank you, Zoe, for going in and getting that tidbit for us. I mean, is it encouraging or concerning?
I love
that they
Flame's
spent
answer. He's like, yo, we've been grinding it so hard. Not going to tell you we're going to win, but we're going to try.
No,
I like it. I like it.
It's interesting considering they said that they spent more time in the last 3 days than in the last couple of stages.
Well, they probably looked at the series and were like, okay, we can get it into a point where we can close it out on Route 66. But they probably felt comfortable with some of the other maps. I mean, you saw their Blizzard World. That was in this series. They were able to best London in that one. They probably thought that was a win. Arc will come in for Animo. You also have Pine who will come in for Libero. So you expect to see a ton of Widowmaker here. Pine taking a sip of water, getting ready. So you kind of thought that this map would maybe be the difference. Maybe we see Jake run some Sombra. Back Fiction will come in for Muma. Interesting here. So you're going to see Muma come out for that game 4.
Again, we saw quite. We talked about this, during Volsky, and we saw Fat Fiction come in. We said I expected him to play a little bit with Cool Map, but Fat Fiction was down the NYXL's throat a lot of the time. Very, very aggressive. So I mean, on a map like Rook 66, whereas defenders often like to opt for that, aggressive dive as defenders by using the high ground, I kind of like that as a decision here. Fat Fiction has shown us to be very solid in this role.
And with Pine coming in, it's going to be just straight Widowmaker play from NYXL. You're not really going to expect anything like a dive, right? It would be kind of shocking if they pulled out a Genji NYXL out of Pine. You would have left Libero in the game to play the Widowmaker if you were planning on that. They probably would go after this composition to probably something that included McCree. But it does force the Houston Outlaws to play Widowmaker, right? And then in that point, it forces Jake to play Tracer. So this is kind of like something that they would have liked to get on the table. Jake, though, did play good in game number 1 on Tracer with Fact Fiction on Winston. So maybe they have a little bit, more chemistry right now. Maybe Fact Fiction helping them out a little bit more.
Big headshot to start off with. And normally Widows kind of back off after this first one. Okay, Lisa wanted to hang around for just a little bit longer. Never know. Getting an early pick there, or...
You got a res now, it's all right.
Yeah, and you can also set up for a half HP tank that you could potentially defensively dive. We'll see the NYXL move up here. So again, Pine and Lisa, the Redux 2.0. See if Pine's time on the bench has sort of benefited him or otherwise. So far, shots are being traded and nothing huge connected. Cool Mat's just around the corner. He'll try and trade a bit of damage and maybe mitigate some himself. He has the mobility to actually get out of that position if it becomes a bit dicey, so to speak. So he'll do that. Fact Fiction's down to Mano here. That was the aggressive dive that kind of backfired on the Outlaws. But Fact is back in the fight.
It's a big play by Cool Matt. He sacrifices himself to do it. but he pushes a few members of NYXL out of the way. That allows the res to come through on a Fact Fiction, and he takes out Arc in the process. But NYXL will have that spawner's advantage. Houston will have to back out.
Mane was very deep there himself. So this is not terrible for the Outlaws. If their dive defensively wasn't amazing. They didn't win the fight outright, but they forced the NYXL from feeling like they themselves could dive and get the team wipe. So that's a good result. Linksa finds Mano early on here, and Pine's being harassed in the backline. So Saviobi now needs to do something because his opposite number, that Jake on Tracer's just found Pine, he gets very little. And that difference might be quite big.
It's going to be both support ults used by the Houston Outlaws. That'll give a slight advantage with Valkyrie for NYXL in the next fight. NYXL did use their Transcendence to try and res Mono up, but as they were resing Mono, Pine did fall at the hands of Jake. So Houston will hold on here. You have that Valkyrie coming up next though. Linkser could be a huge difference maker in this next fight, right? How did we see a lot of teams counter that No Mercy Valkyrie that was a bit stronger early in Overwatch League? It was with those Widowmakers trying to shoot him out of the sky.
So far, Houston are winning in the Tracer battle and the Widowmaker battle, if you want to compare those two roles directly. A great sign. Lynx are getting that early pick on Mano, who's the centerpiece, I feel, from NYXL more often than not. It's a huge relief valve in terms of that pressure. Look at Mano, he dives in, he was so low, he goes for the primal rage though, so here's the opportunity. Saviobi's pulse bomb sticks on the wall, and Coolmat just takes a big old step back. Mana, still in primal rage, returns to the payload, which had been moving throughout this fight, but he got a hand into the Houston Outlaws, man. They peeled back and helped their backline while Mana went deep on them, and now they can come back in the fight, and they've got the pick on Pine.
Yeah, and Fact Fiction uses primal rage, fast some players back. This will get res back up though. Raucus does take out Mono. It'll be a Transcendence that comes through from Jonak as Bonnie answers back with a Valkyrie. This Widowmaker battle still going on. As Raucus does have Transcendence here, he'll get Jake back
he's got it
as well.
Linksa more than happy to go for the second peak. He knew the Pine was low enough that he didn't have to charge the Widow's Kiss for very long to get a killing blow. However, both tanks are missing for the Outlaws right now, and Linksa had no protection, and Sabiobi knew it. He took advantage of that one and leapt upon the beleaguered Widowmaker. And Raucus, this is obviously not where you want to be late in the fight, just because his team got decimated on the ground. And the NYXL do get the wipe, but this is a very competent-looking defense from the Outlaws, man. They've definitely done their homework.
Yeah, when the dive comes through from Mono, instead of diving onto the backline of NYXL and dealing with Jonak, what Houston is doing is they're just having, whether it's Jake or Coolmat, just contest the payload, and then everybody else dives back. They try and take Mono out first, and then work their way back to the payload to help those other players.
My ultimate is charging.
Pine, any pressure he can apply at this stage to force an error in positioning or in mechanics is definitely an advantage he's looking for. He needs to get a leg up because he's been losing out. He's got no eliminations, no final blows on this Widowmaker. He's not had an impact.
Jake's done a nice job of pressuring him, eliminating him a few times. Coolmat takes him out this time, so still not really getting much out of this Widowmaker. And it's kind of the feast or famine, so to speak, right, with putting Pine in the game, because his Widowmaker is so good. Usually doesn't really have off games. Usually you see him come in and really just kind of tear things up. And it puts you in a tough spot here because you can't, it's not like Libero, there's a pick on the Linkser. But it's not like Libero where you can just put him on Genji, right? He's kind of stuck on this Widowmaker of McCree, which you wouldn't want to play into the other Widow anyway.
No, you're going to get completely destroyed, man. It's a great point. So if Pine doesn't work out, it's going to be more harm than good to the NYXL. But you can always count on Sabiobi sometimes, Matt. Cool, Matt. Gets desuited. That was a pulse bomb delivered by him, and Fact Fiction's looking low. Pine follows up on the damage. Linksa kills Pine, but again, there won't be really any follow-up. Linksa just peeked his head out of the spawn room, realizing that his team was down. He would already have been in a very dangerous position, overextended, been hung around. Pine hears some French words uttered across the map, realizes he should probably do the same thing. You can see. He knows there's a diva as well behind Linksa, so
Jake has pulled Mono all the way back to pretty much the opening door.
Pulse bomb. Oh, that was Linksa going down. Jake pulse bomb Mono, but was able to survive it with the use of primal rage. So I guess he's kind of forced primal there, which is not bad. Now with that Transcendence over the point, there can be some stalling done here. Fact Fiction's trying to stay out of the line of sight of Pine, but now Pine's starting to get a little bit of that momentum going. Coolmat will be desuited in just a moment here. And the self-destruct probably, no, it won't be used. There's no point. He knows it's done. That second checkpoint has been taken by the NYXL, who are building up ahead of steam on the back of the Widowmaker, really hitting those shots.
Yeah, I mean, I see what Jake was trying to do there, and I think he accomplished a goal. He actually dragged Mono and Sabiel B all the way back to the arches right when point B opens up. Created like a 5-on-4 there, but wasn't able to, teammates weren't able to pick anything up.
Pine went from 0 kills, 0 eliminations to 6 eliminations, 6 final blows, so all of them. The most on his team in one fight. That's what we call a turnaround. And now that NYXL have woken up, starting to really make the Outlaws sweat. Now that payload is moving. It's just Meko shepherding it for the time being while Jake tries to harass Pine, but the odds are stacked against the Tracer here. And Mano, it's an admonishing slap to the back of the head to remove Jake from the equation.
Now they're going to try and put pressure on Pine in a different way. Linkster will play Genji's getting very close to a Dragon Blade already. Just going to go dive right into the backline. Pine will use the Infrasight. He'll know exactly where these players are coming from. So you have both support ults coming online here for NYXL. Only got Valkyrie here. Maybe you use Blade to force out that Transcendence here.
Drake having a tough time. Meko been covering the backline well, and Linkster actually switches off the Widowmaker. He says, I can't win this. I can't deal with Sabiel in my face, or perhaps it's Mano that's threatening him, so the Genji's the pick. He had that Dragon Blade, so he's been sitting on that for a little bit. The payload is stalled out just by the semi-trailer.
They're waiting to use this Blade when these support ults are gone. They know that NYXL has both Transcendence and Valkyrie. They haven't seen them in a while. They just need to force it out as Linkster runs out of deflect there, and then Pine, that's an easy shot. That one's not an easy shot. Hits Bonnie through a crack.
He threads the needle with that one, and there was even a Diva in play. Coolmat just didn't expect to have to matrix that sliver of line of sight that was available to Pine. And Linkster may have played into Pine's hands, switching to the Genji here. Pine very much used to that. Linkster was doing so well in the battle, and now he's going to go straight for Pine. There was definitely some venom behind that slash, and he got it. Unable, though, to remove Ark, who was up above the fight there. Linkster only gets Pine for the Dragon Blade, so the 1-for-1 trade now hasn't really given the Outlaws a big advantage. Pulse Bomb dropped in by Sabiel. Fact Fiction very low, but he has the Primal Rage, so he'll be able to prolong his life. But the payload, Coolmat knows he needs to get back, but he walked off. Now he has to go 1v2 against both main tanks, and Fact Fiction finally returns to the fray. Drake drops a Pulse Bomb on the bubble, but it doesn't claim any kills, and he's down. Pine is in a safe spot. He's set up in the back line. Linkster now trying to put this one on ice. The May steps forward. Bubble dropped in. Oh, Linkster, he had to use the ice block because the bubble disappeared just as the self-destruct came down. The green wall is not going to be enough to save the Outlaws here, though. And with no time left in the bank, New York finished Route 66.
And the Outlaws are pretty fortunate. They had a very good point A hold, because if things go pretty smooth there for NYXL, that rest of that map was smooth sailing for them. They're able to kind of crush through from A to B and then B to C.
Definitely seemed like a matter of certain individuals on this team starting to come alive. And I know I mentioned it a couple times. I don't want to harp on it, but Pine got nothing done until they got that first checkpoint. In all fairness, the NYXL took point A without Pine sort of operating at all, which says a lot, I think, in and of itself. In the second stage, he went from 0-0 to, 6-6, so eliminations, final blows, and then by the end of the map, 11 final blows, 12 eliminations. I mean, he overtook Linkster in impact. I mean, it's crazy how this guy's 0 to 100.
But that's what you expect out of Pine. I mean, every time they bring him in, it's highlight plays out of this guy. It's very difficult to, speaking with a lot of the players, and obviously you just kind of think about it. They play at obviously such an insane level, right? Just the amount of concentration, coordination, just mechanical skill. To come in and play against somebody who's already been playing after a while, it's extremely hard to do. We see a lot of Widowmaker struggle.
Widowmaker off the bench is brutal, from what I've seen. But now, we'll see if the Outlaws would likely probably try and use Linkster to pressure with that Widowmaker. They could play a Genji off the bat. What do you think about Linkster switching, by the way, off the Widowmaker to the Genji in that last stage of defense?
I mean, look, we've seen his Genji do incredible things in the past. It's just whether you can coordinate that with Fact Fiction in the lineup, right? You were making that work with Muma early on. You're able to play his Genji quite often. Now the game has evolved into a place where Widowmaker is kind of like, it's like played in most games where you kind of need one. And he's such a good Widowmaker that you don't play it a lot of the times. And so it'll be Linkster playing Hanzo. So Hanzo is another good option in terms of snipers.
Okay, sticks on it. We saw this, a fair bit from the Outlaws on maps like Kings Road, for example. Is it about the peak potential? Is it the same kind of setup you want to go for as a Widowmaker? Or is there a slight nuance difference here?
Obviously, I think Hanzo better against flankers than Widowmaker with Scatter Arrow. The way it is right now, Saviel B gets into the back line.
That's very diplomatic of you, Matt.
Very, very effective.
Yes.
Flanker.
Very robust ability.
Also, you can, if they want to punish Meko, right? This is one way to do it. You see how low he gets already. Hanzo is very good against these tanks.
Just making sure the Outlaws have eyes a lot of the time on what the NYXL setup is. And you can do just this, climb up a wall. You can actually have an arrow knocked before you climb up the wall, just let it go as soon as you get to the top, which is kind of nice and kind of doesn't make any sense in terms of, you know, physics and all that, but still. The Outlaws have found a couple of important picks here. Crucially, Pine had gone down. Then, in fact, Vix just goes ham on both the frontliners of the NYXL. And the fight's opened up. Sabiobi is going to just try and run away, but that point's taken.
Yeah, well, we were on board with Linkser as he was getting dove on by Mono and Savielby. Everybody else falls for NYXL. They're able to put a lot of pressure on the Pine, then the supports drop, so the Outlaws will take that first point. Already, you can see probably the improvements that they've been working on. Linkser will switch off of Hanzo, will play Widowmaker. Towards the second stage, where you don't have a lot of great line of sight on the tanks, probably the decision to make.
There it is. That's what Linkser and the Outlaws are looking for. Yes, Pine's gone down, but Linkser needs that confidence boost. I mean, any Widowmaker in a losing battle is going to struggle to sort of stay in it. Mental factor, fortitude and stamina are different things you want to have, especially at such a crucial juncture as this one. Linkser rappels to new heights. He's found Pine, gets a big hit, a headshot, Pine. Oh yeah, he's gonna drop down real quick into the Transcendence. One has to wonder if that was drawn out by the fact that he was so low and Jonak knew they needed to keep the Widow up. This could be a dangerous one here. There should be a jump available. Fact Fiction doesn't really want to bandy words or go for any verbal jousting. Straight back into the fray, gets Meko with the impact before he can resuit.
Yeah, Mono takes out Raucus, so Bonnie not able to provide any healing to him, trying to keep the tanks all topped up. Mono doesn't even have to use Primal Rage during that fight. Fact Fiction was using his Primal Rage. He actually bashed Mono back towards some of the members on the Outlaws and somehow able to stay alive all through it. Doesn't have to use Primal Rage, which now they can use in case of a stall scenario. Jonak already getting close to another Transcendence. We just saw him use it.
Is there a metagame?
So fast.
Is there a metagame behind when to use Infrasight? Like, do you use it now if your Linkser when Pine doesn't have it and try and get a small advantage, or do you just try and counter with it?
I mean, right now he's used Infrasight as Jake. That is so filthy. Like, there's nothing you can even really do about it. So, but yeah, Pine will use the Infrasight right away. It's going to deny a lot of the peeking. He jumps right over the top of the building, takes out Linkser with a headshot.
Yeah, I don't think Linkser killed Meko with micro rockets, by the way. I think it's a slight kill feed bug, but regardless, he got the D-suit and that final kill. Sabiobi's been big so far. I mean, that pulse bomb in towards Raucus, and he could... I mean, okay, I tell you what. Let's go on with Jake in this next fight. I want to see what he does with that pulse bomb. Nothing, apparently. He just gives it over. What do you... Is he going to switch here? Because why do you try and pulse bomb when you're 1v5 against an enemy D.Va and have it eaten?
Not a great answer to that, man.
Okay.
Maybe you think you can demech Meko for the next fight.
Yeah.
Come back.
I just want to get in ahead of him.
I mean, Jake did a very good job on Volskaya, being in that team, the NYXL backline. So far on Route 66, in engagements against Jonak, Jonak's 4-1. So Jonak getting the better of him here, able to stay alive through a lot of those fights. If you see Jake starting to bring that back towards even, you're going to see Houston start to move the payload pretty far.
Right, because it's suffice to say that Lynx has been, again, back in front, by a nose in that Widowmaker battle so far. Pine's been a little bit quiet. Silenced again by the Widow's Kiss. And Arc is low. He does pop that Valkyrie to get his out-of-combat health regeneration immediately, so Jake's going to have a much harder time bursting him down. Now they try and collapse here on towards Jonak, but he has a Transcendence and Bunny has fallen out of the picture. Raucus goes for a trans of his own here. Both tanks for the Outlaws have their ultimate abilities available. Mano and Meko are just cutting a bloody swath through them. Jake has a pulse bomb, but Pine is waiting for him. He backs up to a high caliber shell into the back of the head. Not the good way to go. And the Outlaws now have been stalled on this second phase.
Yeah, if Bonnie stays alive and gets some healing from that Transcendence, they probably use Valkyrie there as well, and they're going to be able to move the payload a little bit farther. You've gotten all that healing from that Mercy ultimate. You had a Pulse Bomb, you had a Primal Rage, you had a lot of ultimates to work with there, and no support ultimates for NYXL, but it's a big kill from Mono, able to separate Bonnie from the group. take him out, deny him any healing that he would have gotten from Transcendence.
What's the win condition here for the Outlaws in this fight?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you're going to have to use your Valkyrie. You're going to have to get something with your Pulse Bomb as well.
Sabiobi's Pulse Bomb gets eaten up as he tries to go deep with it. In fact, Fiction follows up, leaps upon the Tracer. Sabiobi's been removed. Cool Matt now pursues Meko into the waiting arms of Pyre, and he's not actually able to do much damage to the D.Va at that such close range. Now, he decides to look for Bunny. He's got it. He gets 2. Is this a Pyre moment? Is it happening? Cool Matt's able to dodge out of the way, get himself inside the shed, but that's 3. The big boss, the family sends their regards. And the NYXL, again, win out a fight. Individual brilliance gets them over the line. You know, I'd say I'm shocked to see it, but at this point, I'm really not.
No, not shocked at all. Just Pine able to hit these shots. So tremendous. His links are all good to Genji here. You know you need to put pressure on Pine, and NYXL's made a good adjustment. They've been putting a really good amount of pressure on a Linkster. Houston hasn't been able to keep him alive on Widowmaker.
Salvo of orbs directed at Pine from Raucus, but he falls to Meko. The micro rockets. Meko was waiting in the wings to try and pick off Raucus. Perfect response from the NYXL. They hide in the building close up. They use Pine as bait and then leap upon the unsuspecting squad here. And the boys from Houston are going to struggle to break free of this one. You can see the Ark and Pine are sat back, and Jay tries to get tense with about 20 HP. He's down. Ark finishes the job just for style points. And that should be it. A map 5 is on the cards. And New York now on a roll.
Yeah, Pine's Widowmaker definitely stepped up there towards the end. Houston couldn't keep Linkster alive. He was getting the better of some of those battles, but the tanks from NYXL kept getting right on him. Couldn't keep him up. Leads to some deaths from the supports as well. They fall here on Route 66.
I tell you what, there's going to be a lot of noise going on over in New York. The 5 Deadly Venoms crew have got to be making a racket. I'm sure much can be said the same in Houston. We love the fans getting behind this one, and yeah, as expected, down in New York, it's getting rowdy. It's what we'd like to see. Rowdy and raucous, in fact. We'll see you after the break for Map 5.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
New York now, they see him rolling. They hate him. And the Outlaws now are looking imperious. Sabiobi would love to add to the heap of skulls.
Linkster on a hook, finishes him off with a nice shot.
Jonak making sure the job's done right. Jake steps up. It's a one-man versus the world. No way he's getting away with that one. His head is set rolling. First and last time you hear me quote Chameleonaire on a broadcast. Welcome back. I'm Mitch Leslie here with Matt Morello. And now we see the NYXL start to put the thumb screws in, take it to a map 5. We see Pine, looks like he might be staying in the roster. We'll get to the subs in just a second here. It's your boy, Mooma's back in.
Love to see Mooma come back in here for Houston. You'll also have Boink come in for Bonnie. So you had Bonnie in the game for his Mercy a lot of the times. Now you probably bring Boink in because you want to run a little bit more Lucio here on Oasis. Looking at NYXL, Pine will stay in the game. So you think maybe you see a McCree here come out. You know you're not going to have to worry about any of the Pharah maps potentially. So wondering, you mentioned he played a little bit of Sombra.
Yeah, Pine played tons of Sombra back in the day. I mean, on this team, I don't know if he would be necessarily called upon the door when Libero's.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're not going to sub him out, then that might be your option. Libero was kind of the innovator, with a lot of sort of those weird heroes back in the Apex days. I know 90s kids will get it, but coming into this map, we saw on Route 66 a big standout performer, at least statistically, was Meko. It's kind of hard to see when a Diva's doing really good or not so good, except the shock and awe moments, like the huge self-destructs. But I mean, Meko was everywhere. He was all over the map. Huge kill involvement. In fact, had the highest final blows on the entirety of the NYXL.
He's always, we have two of the best Divas in the league, I believe, in this matchup. I think Meko and Kulmat, much different play styles, but I think they're both up there. Both guys play phenomenal.
What's beautiful about it is 50% of his final blows were on Houston tanks. So he's really making sure that Houston don't have that capacity to protect the backline by people like Sabiobi and Pine.
So the last time we saw Houston play this stage against Philadelphia, they didn't go with that Reinhardt-Junkrat combination that they've done in the past. That's worked quite well for them. Let's see if they kind of switch things up here. NYXL would be interesting if Pine comes out on Junkrat. We have seen it a little bit, but if you were to play Junkrat, why not leave Libero in? Because then it gives you the Genji option, unless you want to play McCree. That's kind of your go-to after this.
Or we throw him back to the pulled pork. Of the stage 1, stage 2. I mean, it'd be interesting if we saw that like Orisa, Roadhog, Junkrat. That was all combined, but we're going to move away from that. And maybe not on this stage. On Civi Center, it might be more of a possibility. The Junkrat's going to stay, though. Super interesting. So the NYXL issuing a challenge to Houston, saying, we know you guys are kind of the Junkrat aficionados. How about some of your own medicine?
Yeah, no Reinhardt on either side. Sometimes you see Orisa on this map with Roadhog, like you mentioned. Sometimes you see Reinhardt. We see some triple tank, like we saw.
Zaya in the previous series.
Yeah, a lot of different heroes you can play here. It looks like Junkrat is from either side. Jake's gotten a little bit more damage down than Pine. You can see that in terms of ultimate percentage. Jake just did a huge amount of damage with a mine. Yeah. Basically doubles his ult charge.
I mean, you want to keep an eye on those health bars when there's 2 Junkrats in. Oh, Jake! Guess who's in your house with a Riptide at 4 a.m.? Well, not a Riptide, but he's halfway there. Nice flank by Pine. And again, a very quick combo, which is send a grenade and a remote mine. Will obviously give that instant kill. A lot of those 200 HP or less heroes. Good turnaround from Pine. He gave up his life to do so, but Ark has brought him back. Pulse Bomb dropped in, Meko desuited. That's a big play. Definitely the shining star for the NYXL now is missing his machinery.
That's big because now Linkster can contest the point. You're going to build a Valkyrie because Boink is just healing Coolmat off of that point. So you're going to have Valkyrie come up from both teams. Mooma drops down into the hole, comes on top. Jake with a Riptire. Going.
Never get caught
inside! Every time!
I just don't get sick of it though, man. I don't care. Fills the kill feed up with green. And the Excelsior Green with envy, seeing Pine only get himself a mech for that. And that will leave Houston in charge and in control. Kiss the ring, Pine. 46% to 0.
Somebody's gonna make like a Jake Overwatch League Season 1 montage. It's just gonna be Riptires for like 20 minutes. As Jonak uses Transcendence here, as Mooma's using Primal Rage, just knocking them all over the place. And you see the difference between Mooma and Backfiction in that one play there. Mooma's off on his own, uses Primal Rage, forces out Transcendence all on his own, right? The rest of his team's playing in a different area. He's able to just kind of monitor his health, stay alive, get back to the rest of his team.
Oh, look at this! The respect! Pine switches to Farah, directly attempting to counter Jake. We're talking about the hit scan guy, you know, the guy that goes out there and just styles on everybody, and now he accepts that he's beat.
Well, on this stage, you can actually run the Riptire off a lot of these walls, right? Get up towards that Farah. So, not exactly the easiest way to get rid of the Farah, but it is possible. NYXL picking up a lot of kills here, though, Mitch.
Yeah.
Should be able to flip this.
Good fight for them. Pine sort of dropping in. Naturally, birds don't like being caged, and Farah is a little bit more at risk on maps with roofs or with a skybox that is, you know, like a simulated skybox that's a bit lower. But Houston, do they mind this so much? Because they took a long time to switch to Libero's. Was it Libero's Farah back on Nepal?
Yeah. They're not going to switch out of this just yet. You're going to see a Riptire. Jake. They do lose links for those. Maybe you see this get rezzed up.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, there's not much to be done there. NYXL were able to give it a wide berth, and they only had to focus on the Riptire in that moment. But Lynx is back. So despite them not getting a huge fight win back off the Riptire, they're at 96%. One more fight win and they're there.
You use a Valkyrie here, so you have to get something out of it.
Pine, drop altitude! Whew. Close for him. You can notice he tried using concussive blasters to get himself away from that one. Gets a bit dicey for Farah when she doesn't really know how to avoid that. Because you kind of just float down. You never really drop down as fast as you'd like. You can't dive bomb.
This isn't a bad fight for Houston, though. Now, they obviously don't have control of the point, but they get Jonak to use Transcendence, and then you see they just run all the way back out. They're going to have a Transcendence of their own. Lynx are with a pulse one there in the arc. That's massive. They gotta attack off of that.
Pine doesn't have a pocket anymore now that Farah's going to be that much more vulnerable over the point. Self-destruct thrown in. Pine going to go in for a barrage, but again he's missing his mercy. It's not enough. Coolmat charges directly into him, and Lynx finds Sabiovi, and now Coolmat is going to deal with the other Diva on the point. He drops down, gets the mega health, but Jonak's doing serious work, really lifting up on that high ground. Meko, with the Orb of Harmony, he's able to stay alive a little bit longer, but Jonak needs to be dealt with, and Coolmat does just that. He and Moom are combining in tandem to deal with him. Coolmat with the D-suit, 2 kills, and now Houston will dart back to the point and try and recapture it. The Pine and Co are starting to filter back into the fight.
Yeah, they do leave the point, and it leaves Jake there on his own, and he actually falls at the hands of Mono and Meko, both down. The impulse from Savior B on Arrakis. NYXL needs to contest this. Savior B will get on the point.
Perfect
Jake
turret.
Retire.
Pine's down, tries to take to the skies, but sometimes automobiles are better than planes. First round. Houston Outlaws take it 100-90. Some great tank play there from both sides, but I tell you what, you saw Mooma there prior to the end of that round, did it with both Mano and Meko. He combined so well with Coolmat. These guys are so used to playing in each other's pockets. Great tank duo here. I mean, and that's up against someone like Mano and Meko, who in my opinion is also one of the most accomplished tank duos in the Overwatch League. All smiles for now. The Pearly Whites are out for the Outlaws. Except for Roxas, of course. He's been working on too many in his spare time. Moonlighting as Adeptus is quite lucrative.
And let's see what both teams decide to run here. This is a very good Farah stage, but Pine will go McCree. Jake will go to Sombra here. So when Sombra comes in, see Raucus will play Moira.
Is this risky into McCree?
It is a little bit. If you get the hack onto McCree, you can dive him. It's very effective. But you think you can still play that Junkrat into McCree? You know, you play that McCree, you can still run the Junkrat, be very effective.
Look at that stat. The first time Pines actually had to go over towards that Farah. Crazy, right? Love it. Or at least for more than 30 seconds, should I say. Okay, so Jake's embedded behind a lot of these players here. He's had the translocate right on out there, as you saw his health get very low. But he's on the way to his first EMP, and the Outlaws are holding quite well in the beginning of this fight. High ground is mostly populated by NYXL individuals here, and Coolmat looks to try and change that. Takes too much burst damage on the way up, but Mooma followed up perfectly. Both Mano and Pine are going down. Here comes the counter punch, though, from the NYXL.
Houston will control the point, but we're gonna have Coalescence used here as well. So Houston still wants to fight this. A 2v2 on the point.
Immediate regret there.
Yeah.
Gonna get DC and Pine just gets taken down. Raucus lined him up.
And Coolmat's gonna get back in his mech. So you do have Coolmat get back in his mech. Arc will use Valkyrie here, so you are getting NYXL to invest a lot of ultimates at the beginning of this game.
So clever. Coolmat threw out the defense matrix in front of Raucus, prolonging his life and allowing Raucus to get some free healing. Obviously, the lifesteal Moira gives is very important when it comes to close margin survival situations. And the Outlaws maintain control of the point for the time being. They got 4 players up here, though. They're about to get jumped on by 6 from New York. But Mano's down. Beautiful opening. Primal Rage in here. Chaos being sown in the ranks of the NYXL.
Well, Muma goes all the way in. Mano was in as well, and he had no healing. Everybody was dead at the time. It's going to be a sound barrier used by Boink. Jake does have an EMP to potentially use here. He's going to drop it. He's going to connect on a Jonak and Arc, but you see Arc just healing Jonak all the way through it.
Also, Meko wasn't affected by the hack. His defensive matrix saved Jonak's life, and it's going to give the NYXL a potential transcendence in this fight. Jonak gets his revenge. Jake is down. 5 players here for Houston on the point. Pine now rejoining, so it's a 6v5 for the next few seconds. Sabiobi looks to try and make that even worse. Houston may struggle in this fight.
I was going to say, this is probably NYXL's best chance. You use Transcendence, you push onto the point. You already have Muma down. You're going to have Valkyrie here very soon if you decide to use it. Probably don't even need it. See, Rockish just trying to get onto the point here with Linkser. Jake there as well. So Jake's going to try and stall us out to 99. So he jumps on, has the Translocator. Muma will jump in over the top as well. You're going to... no, Muma jumps back. Okay, so you don't really feel like you need to... Oh, you're going to get it to 98. It's basically...
Pretty much do it.
Right? I mean, you do anyway. So you force it all the way to the distance. Now you have Coalescence in a Pulse Bomb. If you can connect with this Pulse Bomb on an Arc, you're looking at a Houston Outlaws win.
This is new ground being broken for the Houston Outlaws. Not only will this be the first time the NYXL, outside of playoffs being mixed in, have lost 2 matches in a week. Houston beating New York will be so massive for a team that's worked so hard for it. Pulse Bomb dropped on the Jonak there. Pine now being threatened by the Coalescence, and he's forced out of the sight line he otherwise would have liked to have. Cormat retreats to the high ground. Linksa, one shot would kill him, but no, that comes in at just the right time. Jake saves Linksa and causes Pine some issues. He can't finish the kill though, and Cormat's been desuited. Everyone over the edge for the Outlaws, and they need to redo this one.
And you use your Coalescence. You did use a Pulse Bomb. You got something with it though. You got Jonak. Arc did use Valkyrie, but they've been doing a nice job when these players get hacked, immediately just pocketing them, not allowing a ton to get done there with EMP. They hack onto Mono will back out.
He had, I mean, Primal Rage, it would be great to pick him up. Perhaps that's why Raucus switched over towards the Zen, knowing that Mano probably had that ultimate available and they can't risk having that stall. Pine, flash in, gets eaten up, he might have bitten up more than he can chew now. Lynx is trying to penetrate past Coolmat. And he does get desuited though on a self-destruct. It'll just to allow Coolmat to have that suit. He needs the mech in this fight. Pine jumped upon by Linkser, he comes out of nowhere. Like a bat out of hell, and now it's gonna be 3 players set up on the point for Houston. NYXL have kind of been outmaneuvered a little bit here, and Linkser trying to deliver a pulse bomb, but Meko's already been taken down. Yes, there's a Transcendence, but there's no Diva mech. Movement now throwing in the Primal Rage. Mano and Pine aren't in the fight right now. A lot of the firepower for New York is missing, and Houston control the point. This could be the last fight here. NYXL have got to throw themselves at it.
And Houston uses the sound barrier, keeps everybody topped up. They isolated Pine, but they can't go out and finish off the kill. They have to work their way back towards the point.
Pine's down.
But they've given up so much on the point here, Mitch, as it's going to be NYXL getting very close to taking it. Mono jumps back in with Primal Rage. He'll take out Jake.
That Primal Rage was a big difference maker, but Lynx is close to a Pulse Bomb, and Meko's been looking worse for wear right now. Pulse Bomb dropped in. Hard to see with that lead, and he got Meko with that one. It may not be enough, though. Point taken back by NYXL, and Sabiobi's just transcended. He's just gone huge in the last couple of moments. And there'll be one chance for Houston to come back, but they will not have ultimates. Perhaps Raucus a Coalescence, perhaps Jake an EMP.
You're going to get Coalescence. You're going to 100% have Coalescence at some point in this last fight.
They've got to
get a touch.
Overtime begins. Raucus, yeah, Coalescence, definitely close, throwing out the healing orb. An EMP would be massive. Jake needs to farm it up as quickly as possible. They're going to go straight now for the Coalescence, but Muma can't stay alive. Too much damage being thrown in on the Transcendence to protect NYXL from the onslaught of the Simian Predator. Raucus dropped in now. More healing being given to his team. Meko's hacked up. That was the EMP out from Jake. Can they capitalize on a Diva that can't do too much? Bit more than a walking tin can. Meko's able to stay alive. Coolmat knocked out of his mech. He's removed. Now it's Muma trying to get back to the point and join his team with a McCree. The cleanup crew is here, and Pine is starting to do some work. Linksa falls just before he gets in his way. Muma's trying to prolong this one by dealing with Pine, but he's too low and Raucus can't keep him up. High ground being held by Jake right now, but he's low for a Sombra. Raucus gets a Cossack kick and a slap from Mano. This one's going all the way. It wouldn't have it any other way. NYXL bring it back to 1-1.
Oh, and if Houston loses this series, they'll go back and watch that point again. And they had a lot of opportunity to swing that one in their favor. They weren't able to do it. One thing that kind of stands out to me here, Mitch, is the EMP use. You only got 1 player per EMP. probably need to connect with larger EMPs than that. Or if you're going to get, one player or two players, it has to be both supports, right? You got to connect with both supports. There wasn't a ton of follow-up on it as well. So I like the changes. Okay, so I'd be really happy if we saw this from Houston. We saw it earlier, stage 1, think back, where Jake played Genji here and Linkzr played Tracer. You saw really a lot of nice Genji play out of Jake. They made it work against the composition that NYXL used to like to run with the double off tanks on this. It'll be NYXL though, they'll run Mono and Meko on Winston into D.Va, and they'll have Pine play McCree. You're gonna see it's going to come down to, can Houston put the pressure on Pine here in the back?
Pine to wrap around here. In the past, he's been called upon by New York to be their savior, but in the stage 1 playoffs, it didn't work. Stage 2, he was conspicuously absent. And now in stage 3, at the helm of this McCree, he'll be looking to be the big difference maker in this map. Drake on the Genji, which is something we don't see often, but we know he can pilot that one effectively. Right now, these two teams are just jockeying to try and find that first pick. There it is, Boink and Mano traded out here. Muma managing to get rid of that one there. Raucus alive. Sabiobi sees to that one very quickly. He and Meko having a big impact so far, and Coolmat being desuited. This is all but over now in that first fight.
Yeah, they were able to isolate Mono, and they jumped right onto him. Jake, Linkzr, in Muma. The issue is that they leave Coolmat and Raucus in a tough spot because they're just getting assaulted, by Jonak and Sabiobi. The Discord Orb's coming down, and the Discord Orb goes down on the Coolmat. Sabiobi is just kind of forming him up. Coolmat gets weak. What does he do? Just stand there and die? If he does, then you're giving up Coolmat and you're giving up Raucus because the Discord Orb's going right onto Raucus and he's falling right away.
Oh, perfect! Pine throws a grenade outside of Jake's deflect hitbox and still gets a stop, but he comes back with the blade! Who's smiling now? No! Jonak shuts Jake down just as he was Dragon Blading, but Lynx is able to add his DPS ultimate to Jake's and get that kill on Mano. Pine is the one that NYXL choose to bring back into the fight. A McCree mid to late fight with that cleanup potential is great. And Arc, who would have thought Arc would be so aggressive? He gets 2 kills on Linkzr and Boink in that fight. Everyone from New York taking it to another level right now.
Oh, it's an aggressive blade from Jake, but it definitely did open things up for the Houston Outlaws. It's interesting, you saw that if they did res Pine, he had a Deadeye. Deadeye's great on this point. You can just have one player just stand behind that pillar in the middle, just keep gaining that percentage, zoning players off.
Pine would like to not give away his position until he chooses to enter the fray. Might give him a free flash and potentially a kill. Didn't know Genji had the voice line, that's rude. Jake on the high ground. Again, I think he saw a glimpse of Pine out towards the side. So he knows that's probably a place he doesn't want to go to. Pine's smart enough to avoid the deflect with that flash. Jonak down, both Zenyatas are missing for both of these teams. Raucus was close to a Transcendence, Jonak was not. It's probably going to hurt Houston more in this fight, so both of those are brought back. Raucus has Transcendence, he uses it immediately. Jonak back in the fray as well. Meko going for that self-destruct, and he finds very little now. The point taken by Houston, though, to stave off defeat. Sabiobi now to break back in, though this might still be a dangerous situation for Houston. Their supports are unprotected, and Raucus might have to rely on himself. It's not enough. Meko dives on him now. In tandem, the NYXL are picking the Houston Outlaws apart, and this may be it. The final stand. Moomer is down. They'll retake the point at 99%. Boink will be the closest player. They come so far, the Outlaws. And now Boink is felled. Deadeye and Coolmat's the next. He needs to zoom over towards the point, but he won't get there in time. Crushing loss for the Outlaws, but have a look at the relief on the face of New York. They had to go all the way to triumph today.
Houston has 2 extremely tough matches this week. They go the distance with Philly. They go the distance with NYXL. They don't come out on top on either. In the game 5, we mention it all the time. Now, who comes up in the clutch for NYXL? Savio beat 38 limbs, 19 final blows, only 4 deaths.
So many epic moments in that match. Highlight-worthy stuff. Arc, cheeky double Caduceus blast to kill there in that previous fight during Valkyrie. This team is so versatile, and they really had to adapt to what the Outlaws were throwing at them throughout the series itself.
And if you're a Houston Outlaws fan, can you really be mad about how they played this week? You can't. They take a very good Philadelphia Fusion team who we just saw beat London to a 5th game, and they take the best team in the league to a 5th game. They just don't come out on top. It's still a decent week for Houston overall.
No doubt about it. The heavyweights of this league are all slugging it out, and I couldn't be happier. Let's now head over to the desk, though, and have the real experts break this one down bit by bit.
Thank you so much, Mitch and X. Everybody, make a big round of applause for our two teams. What a 5-game series, and it's the second Game 5 of the day. Also, big shout out to our casters. Uber and X nailed it during that cast. Let's talk about the games, though, here, fellas. It's Puckett on the desk with Bren and Crumbs once again. And we got to start things off with game number 3. We went to control, and I mentioned at the half, it's not looking good in the second half if you're a Houston Outlaws fan. You got Route 66. You've never taken point B. You got to win the control.
Yeah, and they absolutely did. I mean, Nepal is one of the best control maps for Houston Outlaws just because they can play the Junkrat style that Jake is so comfortable on. And we saw that coming out in spades as well. He was picking up so many different kills. I believe this initial round didn't actually end up winning it. However, they definitely turned up in the later consecutive rounds, especially here on Sanctum. Houston, when I think of a team that can play the Orisa sort of role, this is one of the teams that plays it especially well compared to a lot of others.
But I think a big difference in Nepal happened to be the substitutions that New York made. They did not play with Pine. They were playing with Libero, and Libero was not having a good day against Linkser. It was Pine that kept putting Linkser in check and kept evolving the games into these 1v1 Widowmaker duels that were so iconic for this entire series. So I think that in Nepal, they experimented a little bit, adding Animo, and it just did not pan out because they knew that they could always go back to Route 66, which was their better map against Houston.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw plenty of the Widow, as we've already talked about. One thing that we didn't really talk about.
Beautiful.
It is wonderful, isn't it? It's just these plays that come under clutch situations. I think Houston actually, despite Route 66 being their worst map, they still put up a reasonable effort, a reasonable defense. You can definitely tell that they've been practicing it. You know, Zoe had a little piece a little bit earlier on where she spoke to Flame and a bunch of other Houston guys, and they said, you know, they put more practice in this map than they have in the past than ever before. So you definitely saw that coming out. They turned it up a notch. Still wasn't able to get it past point B, which isn't too great, but you know, they put. You can tell that they put in work in.
Point A.
Point A.
Hey, at the end of it all, we go to a Game 5, and this is one that I thought was going Houston's way. If you were watching the early rounds, Houston looking great. The Junkrat, again, Jake just not only getting one kill, he's getting triples when he's using these ults.
And I know that we were highlighting how Pine ended up switching away from the Junkrat into the Pharah to give an answer to the Junkrat, but I think that Houston was found in a very curious predicament because when the swap happened, Jake was already at the Riptire, so you don't want to give up that ultimate, and Linkser was already halfway through, so are you going to go with Junkrat McCree to try to answer it? And they didn't really find any way to deal with it.
This is the map, though, that I think Houston is going to be just watching over and over again, saying, how did we lose this? They lost the second heat after going up 99% to 0. That just shows that New York never backs down. We talk about Philly being one of the most clutch teams in the league. So is your #1 seed. They still only have 3 match losses after 24 matches.
I think you can still be proud, though, if you're Houston Outlaws. I mean, everyone on that team, I think, played incredibly well to bring, honestly, what we would consider to be the best team in the league. Maybe a bit arguable these days after New York's recent loss to Boston, but the fact that they brought them to map 5, all the way to the end of Oasis, I mean, it's nothing to be scoffed at in the slightest. They played incredibly well.
Actually, in Oasis, we got a play here from Arc that I think clutched out the win on that last point. Now, typically when you see a Transcendence be used around the Mercy, it's going to be for the Resurrection. This time around, it's a Transcendence that is going to be used to allow Arc to go battle mode. So he takes out the Mercy and then takes out the Tracer?
It's ridiculous.
Oh, so cool.
I don't know.
I said he's the best support in the game. You see
did,
it right
you did.
there? You
Yeah.
see it right there? The Battle Mercy. Unfortunately, the Battle Mercy is not our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. Who is? Well, the big boss is. Pine was on fire again today. All 3 games he plays, walks away with victories in each.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just, again, cementing the legend of Pine himself. You know, when you see him subbed in, you got to be worrying about what he's bringing. And, I mean, he brought the pain today on the Widowmaker, on the McCree, even flexing over to Farah for the first time and still putting up a reasonable performance on that role. So I like that New York are now incorporating Pine into more strategies other than just control. We're starting to see it a lot more now, especially on these escort maps, and I feel like it's creating a very nice little niche for him.
I also like your new haircut, Pine. Looks great
Yes,
today.
it definitely does. And he was just a thorn in Houston's sides, being there, preventing Linkser from getting those kills right after another, making sure that he was kept in check, allowing Sabiobi and the rest of the squad to then pick up the team later.
Pine wasn't super happy during stage 2. He was going through some tough times. Amazing to see him back in action and winning 3 games to help New York take their 21st match. Incredible stuff so far on our Super Saturday, and we come back. We got one more good one. It's going to be the Florida Mayhem. They're looking stronger than ever with awesome guy in the lineup. They'll be taking on the #1 seed in Stage 3, the Boston Uprising. You don't want to miss it.